Now, what exactly are the consolidated fund services? Remember, this is a report. The House will be considering the report of the Public Debt and Privatization Committee that was laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 2nd of June, the year 2026. The Consolidated Fund Services basically refers to government expenditure that are charged directly to the Consolidated Fund and must be paid by law. These are expenditures that do not go through the normal annual parliamentary voting processes because they are considered mandatory obligations of the government. The Consolidated Fund itself is the national government's main account that is established under Article 206 of the Constitution, into which most national revenue is paid. So we shall take a look at the Consolidated Fund, what it entails, and the debt that the Public Debt Committee has indicated in its observation. However, we can see the Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Dr. Moses Masika Wetangula, has already made his way into the chamber to preside over this afternoon sitting. Allow me to hand you over to this live broadcast that is brought to you by the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit in partnership with KBC. Good afternoon.
Mheshimiwa, tuombe. Ewe Mwenyezi Mungu ambaye kwa hekima na neema yako umeteua nyadhifa za viongozi na mabunge kwa ustawi wa jamii na utawala wa haki wa wanadamu, tukusihi utazame kwa neema nyingi sisi watumishi wako ambao umeridhika kutuita ili tutekeleze shughuli muhimu za jamhuri yetu. Tunakuomba uteremshie baraka zako sisi tuliokutanika hapa, na utujalie tuyatende na kufikiria mambo yote tutakayofikishwa mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu, ili utukufu na sifa zako siendelezwe, na ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri ya nchi yetu, na wale ambao hajasawa msikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Amen. Sergeant, ring the quorum bell.
The prayer has been said and the chair taken. However, there is a quorum hitch, and the Speaker has directed that the quorum bell be rung for 10 minutes, of course, to give room for more members of the National Assembly to be able to make their way into the House. And this is, of course, as provided for in the House Standing Orders, Order number 34. So as we wait for the House to correct, we shall continue to take a look at the business that the members shall be transacting this afternoon. And as I had indicated earlier, is that this afternoon they will be considering the report of the Public Debt and Privatization Committee on the expenditures of the Consolidated Fund Services under the budget estimates for the financial year 2026-2027. Remember, the budget cycle for this year is, for the next financial year rather, is almost coming to a close, with the pronouncements of the budget highlights for the financial year 2026-2027 are set to be made this Thursday, that is the 11th of June. So as provided for in the House Standing Orders, the Budget and Appropriations, the Public Debt and Privatization Committee also has to make its report to the National Assembly to be able to indicate or to explain to the House how the estimates relating to the Consolidated Fund Services expenditures that regard the country's public debt. And in the committee's observation from this report is that the public debt currently service expenditures are projected at 2.31 trillion for the next financial year, that is 2026-2027, accounting for 90% of the total consolidated fund services expenditures. However, this reflects a marginal decline from the 2.35 trillion for this current financial year, that is the 2025-2026. In the consolidated fund, the items or the core areas that fall within the consolidated fund services include the repayment of the public debt. This includes the loan principal and the interest, the payment of the pensions and gratuities. Of course, this is for the retired public servants, and of course, salaries and benefits of certain constitutional office holders. This include the president, the judges, the military. All these fall under the consolidated fund services. These are expenditures, government expenditures that are charged directly to the consolidated fund and must be paid. This is according to the law. And also some statutory contributions and subscriptions to international organizations that the country belongs to. So this is basically what the consolidated fund services entails. And in its report, the Budget and Public Debt and Privatization Committee indicates that the public debt service expenditures are projected at 2.31 trillion for the next financial year, this being a decline from this current financial year, that is 2.35 trillion in this current year, that is the 2025-2026. In its observation also, the committee indicates that the projected debt service obligations comprise of domestic debt services amounting to 1.64 trillion, this being 71%, and external debt services amounting to 680.38 billion, this being 29%. This composition indicates that domestic debt obligations remain the primary driver of debt service expenditures and consequently overall CFS expenditures. The trend is expected to persist over the medium term, largely due to the increasing reliance on domestic borrowing to finance fiscal deficits. Also, in its observation, the committee has indicated that the public debt stock, which amounted to 12.8 trillion as at February 2026, is projected to reach 14.12 trillion by June 2027, being equivalent to a net present value of public debt to GDP ratio of 65%, which remains above the statutory debt anchor that is at 55%. With a 5% margin. So this means that it leaves only a year to meet the October 2028 target. If you're just joining us, the House is about to commence. We can see more members making their way into the House. The Senate terms are also keeping tabs with the numbers. And once that quorum is raised, then that business shall, without any further delay, commence. So considerations of the expenditures of the consolidated fund services under the budget estimates for the next financial year 2026-2027 are coming up for consideration. It is a report by the Public Debt and Privatization Committee coming up for consideration. And of course, we also expect the resumption of debate on the Kenya Judiciary Academy Bill, a bill originating from the National Assembly, sponsored by the committee, the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs. this is a bill that is at it. Okay, there is quorum. Allow me to hand you over.
Start. Okay. Okay. Start.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Members on their feet, take your seats. Honorable members of communication on appointment of senators to mediation committees on 2 bills. Honorable members, you recall that on 15th and 22nd April 2026, respectively, I notified the House of the referral of the Public Service Values and Principles Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 46 of 2022, and the Cooperatives Bill, National Assembly Bill number 7 of 2024, to mediation committees. You may further recall that I also informed the House of the appointment of members to represent the National Assembly in the mediation committees on the 2 bills, and guided that they await the appointment of senators for the respective committees to be fully constituted. I have since received correspondence from the Senate notifying that the Speaker of the Senate has appointed senators to the mediation committees to consider the bills as follows: Mediation Committee on the Public Service, Values and Principles Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 46 of 2022, Senator Julius Murgo Recha, CBS MP, Senator Mohamed Faki Mwinyihaji, CBS MP, Senator Lenku Olekanar Seki, MP, Senator Miraj Abdullahi Abdurrahman, MP, and Senator Professor Tom Ojenda Odhiambo, Senior Counsel, MP. Mediation Committee on the Cooperatives Bill, National Assembly Bill number 7 of 2024, Senator Jackson Kiplagat Mandago, EGH MP, Senator James Kamau Morango, MP, Senator Esi Okenyuri Nyaituga Anyeni, MP, Senator Miraj Abdullahi Abdurrahman, MP, and Senator Abbas Sheikh Mohammed, MP. Fellow members, with the appointment of senators, the mediation committees on the 2 bills are now fully constituted in terms of Article 113 of the Constitution, and in this regard, I call upon the appointed members of this House to reach out to their Senate counterparts with a view to expeditiously commencing the mediation process on the respective bills. The House is accordingly guided. Honorable members, my second communication is in regard to the event of Thursday this week, public pronouncement on the budget highlights and revenue-raising measures for the financial year 2026-27. Honorable members, as you may be aware, members at the bar, take the nearest seats. Honorable members, as you may be aware, the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury and Economic Planning is required pursuant to Article 221 of the Constitution, Section 40 of the Public Finance Management Act and 2012 and the Standing Order 244C to make a public pronouncement of the budget highlights and revenue-raising measures for the national government every financial year. In this regard, honorable members, I wish to inform the House that the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury and Economic Planning is scheduled to make a public pronouncement of the budget highlights and revenue-raising measures for the financial year 2026-27 on Thursday, 11th June 2026 at 3 p.m. in the main chamber of the National Assembly. Honorable members, this pronouncement marks a significant milestone in the national budget-making process. Additionally, as has been the practice within the East African community, the pronouncement will be undertaken concurrently with similar budget pronouncements in the partner states, underscoring the continued commitment to regional economic cooperation and harmonization of fiscal policies. Honorable members, this is an important parliamentary event that is expected to attract various dignitaries, development partners, members of the diplomatic corps, and other invited guests. I therefore urge all members to prioritize attendance and be present in the chamber for the occasion. Following the pronouncement, a reception hosted by the National Treasury and Economic Planning will be held at the Parliament courtyard immediately after the event. Consequently, honorable members, the parking spaces at the Parliamentary courtyard shall not be available for use on Thursday, 11th June 2026. Honorable members will be dropped off at the main entrance, after which drivers will be directed by parliamentary security officers and the sergeant-at-arms to designated alternative parking areas within Parliament Square. In this regard, honorable members are requested to ensure that all vehicles parked within the parliamentary courtyard are removed by 3 p.m. on Wednesday, 10th June 2026 to allow for the requisite preparations and security arrangements. The House is accordingly informed. Members at the bar, take the nearest seats. Osoro, where is your nearest seat? Wamboka, where is your nearest seat? Honorable members, allow me to recognize a delegation from the Parliament of the Republic of Uganda. Honorable members, I wish to introduce to you a delegation of 5 officers from the Parliament of the Republic of Uganda who are seated in the Speaker's Gallery. The delegation, drawn from the Uganda Department of Information and Communications Technology, ICT, is undertaking a training with their counterpart department of the National Assembly to enhance knowledge sharing, foster innovation, and strengthen operational efficiency in the management and delivery of ICT services. On my behalf and on behalf of the House, I welcome them to Parliament and wish them fruitful engagement. The second team, honorable members, is a recognition of a delegation from the National Assembly of Zambia. Honorable members, I wish to introduce to you a delegation of 10 officers from the National Assembly of Zambia who are seated in the Speaker's Gallery. The delegation led by Mr. Sage Samuika, the acting deputy clerk in charge of administration, is on a visit to the National Assembly to learn best practices and exchange knowledge in the area of strategy, risk management and modernization, procurement, parliamentary broadcasting, research, parliamentary training, human capital and administration, and public and international relations. On my behalf, and on behalf of the Assembly, I welcome them to Parliament and wish them fruitful engagements. Equally, honorable members, in the Speaker's Gallery, we have Chebonei Girls High School from Bomet, Central Bomet. And in the Speaker's Gallery, in the Public Gallery, we have Kanjinji Secondary School from Mwea East, Kirinyaga. Arnesenes High School from Ainabukoyo, Wasingishu. And Anderson High School from Endabes, Trans Nzoia. Again, on my behalf and on behalf of the House, we welcome all the students, their teachers, and those accompanying them to the House of Parliament. I've been requested by Mary Maingi, Honorable Mary Maingi, to welcome Kanjinji Secondary School. But on behalf of the House, you can welcome all the students in the galleries. Mary Maingi. Give her the mic. There you are.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to welcome the students of Kajiji Secondary to this honorable house. And I also wish to welcome all the other students and their teachers to this honorable house. I would want to wish the students to work hard, focus on their education, work very hard on their studies, and remain disciplined and remain morally upright to become future leaders. I hope at the end of the day they will learn something from these parliament proceedings and that they will return one day to this house as honorable members of parliament. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Chepkonga, Ainabkoi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I wish to welcome the students from Anderson's Boys High School. Mr. Speaker, this is one of the biggest and largest boys secondary school in Ainabkwe constituency, and particularly also in Wazingishu. Mr. Speaker, they are here on a learning tour. They want to see what happens in Parliament, and Mr. Speaker, I want to welcome them to learn from here. And this is a clarion call to them to what the late former president of South Africa said. He said that education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change your world. They are coming here together with all other students from Jebolet and the rest. I hope whatever they will learn here, it will change their world. I want to thank them for coming, and we wish them the best.
Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions.
Order member for Trans Nzoia, take your seat. Honorable Mishi, take your seat quickly. Honorable members, I have 2 petitions to present to the House. The first petition is regarding unpaid salary arrears and terminal dues by the former employees of Uchumi Supermarkets PLC. Honorable members, Article 119 of the Constitution accords every person the right to petition Parliament to consider any matter within its authority. Further, Standing Order 2252B requires the Speaker to report to the House any petition other than those presented by a member. Honorable members, in this regard, I wish to report to the House that my office has received a petition from Philomena Oburenyi and Alois Mukoma, chairperson and secretary, respectively, of the former Uchumi Staff Welfare Association, regarding the inordinate delay in the payment and settlement of salary arrears and terminal dues owed to former employees. The petitioners aver that despite numerous engagements with appointed administrators, the courts, and the processes established under the company voluntary arrangement, their claims for unpaid salary arrears, gratuity, and other terminal benefits remain unresolved. The petitioners further state that the commitments made under the company voluntary arrangement to settle staff claims have not been honored despite repeated reminders and demonstrations by former employees. Additionally, the petitioners allege that lease proceeds from tenants occupying the company's premises, including payments reportedly made by China Square, have been diverted to other projects instead of being applied towards the settlement of staff claims. Honorable members, the petitioners also cite a lack of transparency and accountability in decisions affecting staff welfare. They contend that certain directives issued during the last annual general meeting by the CVA monitor have not been implemented and that affected employees have not been adequately consulted. The petition further highlights the difficult circumstances faced by many former employees, some of whom are unable to provide for their families, meet medical expenses, or support their children's education. It is also reported that some former staff have passed on before receiving their rightful dues. Honorable members, in light of the foregoing, the petitioners seek the intervention of the National Assembly to ensure transparency in the management of lease proceeds and other company assets and to facilitate the establishment of a clear timeline and mechanism for the resolution of all pending CVA obligations relating to former staff claims. Honorable members, having established that the matters raised in the petition fall within the authority of this House and that they are not pending before any court of law or constitutional body, I hereby commit the petition to the Public Petitions Committee for consideration pursuant to the standing orders. The committee is required to consider the petition and report its findings to the House and the petitioners in accordance with Standing Order 2272. The second petition, honorable members, is regarding strengthening oversight, transparency, and intergenerational equity in public debt governance. Honorable members, Article 119 of the Constitution accords every person the right to petition Parliament to consider any matter within its authority. Further, Standing Order 2252B requires the Speaker to report to the House any petition other than those presented by a member. In this regard, honorable members, I wish to report to the House that my office has received a petition from Ms. Beatrice Eniwayaki and others representing the Kiambu County Empowerment Network and the Bunge Mashinani Initiative. The petitioners are calling for the enhancement of oversight, transparency, and the integration of intergenerational equity in the governance of public debt. The petitioners contend that the public debt has emerged as a critical governance challenge with profound implications for Kenya's physical sustainability, the delivery of essential services, and the economic prospects of future generations. They express grave concern over the escalating debt burden and the attendant risks to the country's long-term development trajectory. Honorable members, the petitioners underscore the necessity of robust parliamentary scrutiny over the contracting, management, and reporting of public debt. They aver that such oversight is vital to ensure that borrowing remains prudent, transparent, and strictly aligned with the national strategic priorities, thereby safeguarding public resources. The petitioners further observe that the absence of a comprehensive and periodically updated public debt registry impedes effective scrutiny by both the public and relevant parliamentary committees. They argue that a centralized public accessible registry detailing domestic and external debt borrowing terms, creditors, and repayment schedules is indispensable for debt sustainability analysis. Honorable members, the petitioners also highlight a deficiency in structured mechanisms for intergenerational dialogue. They note that discourse on fiscal policy remains largely confined to technical and national forums, effectively excluding local communities and the youth who will bear the long-term cost of today's borrowing from the decision-making process. In light of the following, the petitioners seek the intervention of the National Assembly to 1. Strengthen the institutional framework for the oversight of public debt management. 2. Enhance transparency through the legislative establishment of a comprehensive and mandatory public debt registry. 3. Institutionalize the utilization of independent expert analysis during debt-related deliberations in the House. And 4. Promote structured engagement between Parliament, civil society, and the citizenry to ensure intergenerational equity is a primary consideration in public debt policy. Having established, honorable members, that the matter raised in the petition falls squarely within the mandate of this House, and being satisfied that the issues are not sub judice or pending before any other constitutional or legal body, I hereby commit this petition to the Public Petitions Committee for consideration and pursuant to the standing orders. This committee is required to consider the petition and report its findings to the House and to the petitioner in accordance with Standing Order 2272. I thank you. Next.
Order number 5, papers.
Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Tuesday, 9th June 2026. Number 1, the following draft regulations from the Ministry of Public Service, Human Capital Development and Special Programs. 1, the Gambling Control Licensing Regulations 2026. 2, the Gambling Control Conduct of Gambling Operations Regulations 2026. 3, the Gambling Control Advertising Regulations 2026. 4, the Gambling Control Foreign-Based Operators Regulations 2026. 5, the Gambling Control Gambling Appeals Tribunal Regulations 2026. And 6, the Gambling Control National Lottery Regulations 2026. Number 2, legal notice number 73 of 2026 relating to the Public Finance Management Prisons Enterprise Fund Regulations 2026 and Regulatory Impact Statement RIS report on public participation, comments and memorandum on the Public Finance Management Prisons Enterprise Fund Regulations and the explanatory memorandum from the National Treasury. 3, reports of the Auditor General and financial statement for the years ended 30th June 2021, 30th June 2022, 30th June 2023, 30th June 2024, and 30th June 2025, and the certificates therein in respect of the following schools. Number 1, Arimiet Mixed Secondary School. 2, Chaani Secondary School. 3, Dadachabasa Mixed Day Secondary School. 4, Kijire Girls Secondary School. 5, Karongoi Girls High School. 6, Namuela Secondary School. And 7, Timbila Boys Secondary School. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I lay.
Thank you. Chairperson, Mediation Committee, Honorable Samuel Atandi. Not ready yet. We'll stay that. Chairperson, Committee on Powers and Privileges, Honorable Samuel Chepkonga.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Tuesday, 9th June 2026. Report of the Committee of Powers and Privileges on the inquiry into allegations against the member for Pumula and chairperson of the Public Investments Committee on Governance and Education, the Honorable Jack Wanambi Wamboka, CPS MP. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Next.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Chairperson, Mediation Committee, Samuel Atandi, CBS MP. Not ready. I think this, anytime it comes in, we'll accommodate him to lay the document on the table and to give notice. Chairperson, Committee on Powers and Privileges, Samuel Chepkonga, CBS MP.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion. That this House adopts the report of the Committee of Powers and Privileges on the inquiry into allegations against the member for Bumula and the chairperson of Public Investments Committee on Governance and Education, the Honorable Jack Wanami Wamboka, CPS MP, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 9th June 2026. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
Omulher Harun, nominated member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44-2C, I rise to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security regarding insecurity incidences in Kambisamaki, Lagdera constituency in Garissa. Honorable Speaker, Kambisamaki town has, over the past few years, experienced recurrent boundary disputes among communities within Garissa and Isiolo counties. These disputes have often escalated into violent confrontations, resulting in loss of lives, theft of livestock, and destruction of property. The insecurity has also adversely affected the education sector, as non-local teachers who form a significant portion of the teaching workforce face threats to their safety, leading to frequent evacuation. This has resulted in acute teacher shortages, thereby severely disrupting learning and disadvantaging learners in the affected schools in the enjoyment of their right to education. The situation in Kambisamaki calls for urgent intervention to restore security, safeguard lives and property, and ensure a conducive environment of learning. Honorable Speaker, it's against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security on the following: measures taken by the Ministry of Interior and National Administration to urgently enhance security, protect residents, and restore normalcy to school operations in Kambisamaki. Steps being taken to resolve the boundary disputes between Garissa and Isiolo counties, including any interventions made in collaboration with relevant government agencies and the county governments, and the strategies being implemented to ensure that teachers, students, and schools are provided security so as to guarantee a conducive environment for uninterrupted learning. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Harun. Yes, Russell, when can you bring a response to that? Give Honorable Russell the mic.
Mr. Speaker, we'll respond in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. That's all right. Lillian Sioi, member for Trans Nzoia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wanted to welcome the students from Trans Nzoia, but they have already left. So I don't know if I can just go on with my statement. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I raise to request for a statement regarding the death of Mr. Brian Simiyu in Trans Nzoia County. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 44-2C, I rise to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Health regarding the death of Brian Simiyu in Trans Nzoia County. Honorable Speaker, on 17th May 2026, Mr. Brian Simiyu, a resident of Trans Nzoia County, reportedly lost his life following a surgical procedure allegedly conducted at Samor Chemist, situated opposite Dr. Michuki's Plaza building in Trans Nzoia County. It is further alleged that the medical practitioner involved in the incident, one Dr. Alex Baraza, was unfit to practice, with reports indicating that he had been in and out of rehabilitation programs for substance abuse. The procedure is said to have been conducted in an unsafe place and unprofessional environment, with reports alleging that the patient's hands were tied to a window in a manner that violated his dignity. This incident has raised grave concerns regarding... Mr. Speaker, protect me from these guys.
Order. Members gravitating around the majority leader, take your seats.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This incident has raised grave concerns regarding professional negligence, patient safety, and the continued operation of apparently unlicensed medical facilities. Honorable Speaker, the circumstances surrounding the death of Mr. Simiyu raise serious questions regarding the regulations, inspection, and licensing of health facilities. as well as the enforcement of the professional standards among medical practitioners. The incidents further points to possible gaps in the monitoring of private chemists and protection of members of the public from unsafe and unlawful medical practices. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Health on the following. 1, the circumstances that led to the death of Mr. Brian Simiyu following a botched surgery conducted at Samor Chemist in Trans Nzoia County. 2, the registration and professional status of the medical practitioner involved, including whether any complaints, disciplinary proceedings, or concerns had been previously raised against him. Number 3, the steps being taken to strengthen inspection, supervision, and enforcement mechanism for private health facilities and chemists. And lastly, measures being taken to ensure that the family of the late Brian Simiyu receives justice and that those found culpable are held accountable. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Nyikal, did you hear what I heard?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think the statement requested for is actually of a very serious nature.
It's of grave nature.
Grave nature. 1, it was performed in a chemist. 2, by somebody who apparently is known to be mentally unwell. And therefore, I think we'll strive to get as much information as possible, but we'll still try within 2 weeks. But it looks like it may be a much broader
Bring a preliminary report next week on Thursday.
Thank you.
And also that statement also discloses matters of a criminal nature. You may also get involved and inform the agencies in charge of criminal investigations to take it up. Thank you. Responses to statements. A response to a statement requested by Honorable Member for Bumula. Raso, are you ready?
Yes, Honorable Speaker.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the member for Bumula constituency, Honorable Wanami Wamboka, requested to be apprised on the rising insecurity incidences within his constituency. The Honorable member particularly sought to be informed the status of investigation into the murder of Mr. Isaac Wanjala, the immediate measures being undertaken to enhance security in Bumula, the long-term strategies being implemented to restore security, strengthen community policing initiative, and enhance collaboration. Honorable Speaker, the status of investigation. On 14th April 2026, at about 0600 hours, Mr. Jared Nyikuli, the director of Dareli Paradise Resort, located within Kabula area, reported at Bumula Police Station, Vide OB number 07 14th April 2026, that a robbery with violence incident occurred during the night of 14th April 2026 at the premises. Police officers responded promptly. Preliminary investigation established that the deceased, Isaac Wabwire, aged 38 years, was a security guard and was on duty with his other colleagues. Bernard was Waswa Maramba, aged 52 years, who reportedly escaped unhurt during the incident. Subsequently, the post-mortem was conducted on 24 April 2026 on Mr. Isaac Wabiwire by the government pathologist, who opined the cause of death to be cardiopulmonary arrest, secondary to intracranial hemorrhage, resulting to traumatic head injury caused by blunt object. The police revisited the scene to gather further information regarding the robbery with violence incident, where they established that the assailant had gained access into the compound by cutting the perimeter fence behind the lounge area before entering into the bar section. Honorable Speaker, upon questioning, Bernard gave a conflicting statement, prompting the investigators to profile him as a person of interest. He was subsequently arrested and arraigned in court on 15th April 2026 for the offense of failing to prevent a felony contrary to Section 392 of the Penal Code. Honorable Speaker, the immediate measures being undertaken to enhance security in Bumula constituency. The National Police Service remains committed to safeguarding lives and property and maintaining law and order, and has undertaken the following immediate measures to enhance security and public safety in the constituency by doing the following: intensified foot and motorcycle patrols across Kabula Ward and the wider Bumula constituency, deployment of undercover officers alongside intelligence-led policing, including profiling of known offenders, monitoring emerging criminal networks. 3, conduct of targeted security operation to dismantle criminal gangs in identified areas. 4, strengthening of public reporting and community engagement mechanisms through toll-free reporting channel, such as Fichua kwa DCI number 0800 722 203. 5, enhance collaboration with local leaders, community stakeholders, and the national government administration. Honorable Speaker, the long-term strategies being implemented. 1, owing to the distance to the nearest police station, rising security demands, and limited mobility due to lack of sufficient motor vehicles, the operationalization of Kabula Police Station is being prioritized through deployment of personnel, provision of logistic support, and allocation of essential resources. 2, sensitization of business owners and operators on the installation of closed-circuit television, CCTV, surveillance system within business premises and strategic location. 4, capacity building of investigators through specialized training in forensic investigation, including crime scene management, evidence preservation, forensic photography, fingerprint and trace evidence, among others. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Signed by the Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen, EGH Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration. I beg to submit, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Wamboka.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Even as we talk about this, the family of the late Wanjala has not received justice because so far as we speak, no culprit has been arrested and they remain being at large. We urge the security agencies to speed up investigations so that at least the family can put closure into this. Honorable Speaker, the insecurity in Bumula and in Bungoma generally continues to escalate, where recently we saw the unfortunate murder of Mr. Pascal Wakafura, and who was a medical person from Bungoma County working for the county, and James Osambo from the Bungoma stage, a young man who was picked from the stage at his place of work, and then he was shot dead a few kilometers from there. So these incidents show that we are still experiencing incidents of insecurity, and we urge the government to move with speed. While there has been some transfer of police officers in Kabula stations and Mianga, and for this, I want to say that at least when I reached out to the Inspector General of Police, Honorable Speaker, action was taken. But there is need to enhance capacity among the officers in these stations and all urban areas in Bungoma County. Honorable Speaker, recently we saw Honorable Murkomen undertake the Jukwaa la Usalama initiatives across the country. We want to urge that they should implement resolutions passed by stakeholders in this, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we had proposed in this House that we want it to be a policy that those officers who are overstayed in one station, Honorable Speaker, should be transferred because they get familiar with the community, and instead of focusing on key areas of insecurity, Honorable Speaker, they just start, they want to chase around residents in Chang'a and Busa dens, something which, Honorable Speaker, the government must ensure that, they see to it that is done. As we use NGCDF funds to put our police stations, we urge the ministry to ensure security officers are dispatched not only to harass our people, especially these political sessions that is coming in, Honorable Speaker, but to provide security and the provision of security, Honorable Speaker. They must be non-committal, non-partisan to any part of the political divide, so that at the end of the day, Honorable Speaker, we have security across Bumula and across our constituencies. Thank you.
Thank you. I think, Russell, those are just positive comments. If you can take that into account, it will help the situation. Eric Wamumbi. Yes, Russell, are you ready to respond to Wamumbi's request?
Yes, Honorable Speaker.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the Member of Parliament for Madira constituency, Honorable Wamumbi, requested to be apprised of the alleged circulation of harmful, adulterated alcoholic drinks in the country. He stated that there is a growing concern that some alcoholic brands by Patiala Distillers Limited, Blue Ice Vodka, Blue Ice Coconut, Best Classic Gin, Best Gold Classic Brandy, Best Gold Liquor, Diamond Ice Liquor, Dark Strong Beer, and Strong Ale Beer may be adulterated. The Honorable Member particularly sought a report on the licensing status of the aforementioned alcoholic brands. 2, a report on investigation, even by the Anti-Counterfeit Authority, KEPS and other relevant agencies. 3, enforcement, surveillance, and consumer protection measures. Honorable Speaker, a report on the licensing status of the aforementioned alcoholic brands and details of any tests conducted by the government chemist. Honorable Speaker, via Gazette Notice number 9775 of 3rd November 2020, the government placed the role of licensing of manufacturers of alcoholic drinks in the hands of National Alcoholic Control Committee. This is a multi-agency committee chaired by the PS in Internal Security, and membership cuts across government agencies, among them Kenya Bureau of Standards, KRA, Ministry of Trade, Weight, particularly in the area of weights and measures, and the Ministry of Health. Key among them is that the product must meet safety and human consumption status before being certified by KEPS. The test undertaken assesses various parameters, including methanol content, ethanol concentration, presence of contaminants, toxic substances, and other harmful impurities in accordance with the established quality standards. Honorable Speaker, Patiala Distillers Kenya Limited requested for licensing in April 2022, having relocated their plant to Mlolongo. Several compliance checks were carried out, and the facility, having met all the requirements, was initially issued with a clearance letter to produce the aforementioned brands in April 2023. Following suspension of all alcohol manufacturing license issued in March 2024, the facility closed down, but upon inspection, it met the necessary requirement and was given clearance on 3rd June 2025. A report on investigation, if any, by the Anti-Counterfeit Authority. Honorable Speaker, the Anti-Counterfeit Authority, the Kenya Bureau of Standards, and other relevant enforcement and regulatory agencies have undertaken investigation and market surveillance operations to establish the authenticity, validity, and compliance status of the said alcoholic drinks. Further, the agencies have continued to conduct inspections, product sampling, verification of standardization marks, and nationwide audit of alcoholic beverages available in the market. Honorable Speaker, the enforcement, surveillance, and consumer protection measures that have been undertaken. Honorable Speaker, the government has enhanced enforcement, surveillance, and consumer protection measures against manufacturers, distributors, and retailers found dealing in adulterated, counterfeit, or substandard alcoholic drinks. 1, rigorous multi-agency inspection for clearance of alcoholic manufacturers, multi-agency intelligence raid operation, seizure and destruction of non-compliant products, closure of illegal manufacturing and distribution premises. 4, prosecution of offenders and product recalls where necessary. And 5, continuous market surveillance and public sensitization. The measures taken by the manufacturer to protect their products. Honorable Speaker, the manufacturers have put in place various measures aimed at protecting their products from counterfeiting and enhancing consumer confidence. These measures include the use of tamper-proof seals, enhanced packaging security features, product traceability system, authentication and verification mechanisms, and consumer awareness campaign on identification of genuine products. Honorable Speaker, manufacturers have also continued to collaborate with regulatory and enforcement agencies in reporting suspected counterfeit activities and sensitizing consumers on the dangers associated with counterfeit and substandard alcoholic beverages. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Signed by Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen, EGH, Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration. Honorable Speaker, I beg to submit.
Mheshimiwa Wamumbi, you satisfied with that?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I am contented with the response. I would only like to request the Minister to share this response with the GAO officers, starting with the regional commissioners, to make sure that manufacturers who are manufacturing products that are safe for human consumption are protected, and to heavily deal with the counterfeiters, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Member for Westlands, Tim Wanyonyi. You've given the mic behind him. Give him the correct mic.
Honorable Speaker, pursuant to provisions of Standing Order 43, I rise to make a general statement regarding the advancement of disability inclusion, accessibility, and promotion of the rights of and representation of persons with disabilities in our parliamentary institutions and governance systems. Honorable Speaker, I recently participated in the Commonwealth Parliamentarians with Disabilities CBWD Forum in Cape Town, South Africa, from 26 to 28 May 2026. The forum, which was convened under the theme Legislating for the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, brought together parliamentarians with disabilities from across the Commonwealth to exchange experiences, share best practices, and explore practices, approaches, and strengthening accessibility and representation and inclusion with parliamentary systems. The forum decried the low representation of persons with disabilities in elective and appointive positions and underscored the importance of disability inclusion in all spheres of development. It also noted that despite progress achieved in many jurisdictions, significant barriers still limit the participation of persons with disabilities in legislative and decision-making processes. The hindrances include inaccessible infrastructure, inadequate support systems, negative societal attitudes, and limited opportunities for political engagement. Honorable Speaker, to accelerate accessibility inclusion, the forum called on Commonwealth parliaments to deliberately ensure full and effective participation of persons with disabilities in political and public life. It further emphasized the need for political parties and other stakeholders to create pathways that encourage and support persons with disabilities to seek public office, while safeguarding and expanding gains made in representation. Additionally, the forums underscored the need for regular access audits of parliamentary institutions and the collection of reliable data to inform policy interventions and aimed at enhancing inclusion. The forum also stated the importance of strong partnerships between parliaments, organizations of persons with disabilities, civil society, and development partners so as to ensure that policies and legislation affecting persons with disabilities are informed by lived experiences and the government commitments on disability inclusion translate into meaningful action and measurable outcomes. Honorable Speaker, the representative nature of Parliament uniquely places on us a responsibility to ensure that our legislative policy and institutional frameworks upon the rights, dignity, and full participation of persons with disabilities in governance and public affairs. I therefore urge that we continue strengthening inclusive practices and promoting equal opportunities for all citizens to contribute to national development regardless of disability status. Finally, as the chairperson of Kenya Disability Parliamentary Association and the CPWD Africa Region Champion, I urge Parliament and all relevant stakeholders to continue championing disability inclusive policies and legislation. Together, we can build institutions that are fully accessible, representative, and responsive to the needs and aspirations of persons with disabilities. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Member for Westlands. Honorable members in the Speaker's Gallery, allow me to acknowledge Starehe Primary School from Laikipia West, Laikipia. In the public gallery, we have Nyabondo Boys Boarding Comprehensive School from Nyakach, Kisumu, and Ayebo Boys High School from Baringo North, Baringo. Honorable members, on my behalf and on behalf of the House, we welcome the students, their teachers, and those accompanying them to Parliament. Maklap.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to join you, Mr. Speaker, to congratulate all the students from all parts of Kenya that have visited us today in this National Assembly, Mr. Speaker, and more particularly to Ayebo Boys High School from Baringo North, popularly known as at home Bongo Boys. Mr. Speaker, Bongo Boys did very well in the last year's examination, where they had 71 out of 84 students directly join the university. I want to encourage all the students that this is the House of Parliament, this is where laws are made, policies are done, and Mr. Speaker, the sky is the limit. maintain discipline throughout their studies, ensure that they work hard in school so that one day they will find themselves here. It is hard work and discipline that will bring them here and other places all over the world. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Next order.
Order number
Hold
8.
on, Sioi, what is it? Lillian Sioi, give her the mic. You are very far away from where Lillian Sioi is. You don't know Lillian Sioi? There you are, there. Next.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last time, before we went for recess, I raised a question on shortage of fertilizer in Trans Nzoia. But so far, I haven't received any response. They were to do it the first week after recess, but I haven't received any communication. Mr. Speaker, the President subsidized the prices of fertilizer with reasons for the Kenyans to benefit, for Kenyans to produce enough food, and for Kenyans to get food at a cheaper price. But to our surprise, our fertilizer is being sold in Uganda, in our neighboring country, of which now it's like we subsidize the prices for them and not us. So I raised to still request for that response so that I can be able to know what happened.
Thank you, Mutunga. This was to you.
Yes, Honourable Speaker, thank you very much.
Where is the response?
Honourable Speaker, we discussed this issue at the meeting with the ministry, and they were to give us a written report on the same when they brought their submissions for the budget. We have not received that as yet. But I've spoken to the PS, and he has promised that he's going to be there tomorrow.
The planting season is rapidly slipping away. We'll allow you to do so. Next order.
Order number 8, the Kenya Judiciary Academy Bill, National Assembly Bill number 42 of 2025, second reading, resumption of debate.
Who was on the floor? Honorable Stephen Mogaka is not in the house. Ndindi Nyoro, are you queuing for this? Wilberforce Oundo, are you queuing for this? Gideon Gitonga Murugara, you are queuing for this? Go ahead.
Thank you very much.
I thought you are the one who moved the bill.
And unfortunately, I was out of the country.
Oh, okay.
It was moved by leader and seconded by another member of JLAC. It's good I speak in support of the bill.
Go ahead.
Because, Honorable Speaker, the Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs sat and looked at this bill just before debate and tabled a detailed report on why the bill should be supported, again proposing a raft of amendments to try and ensure that it is in compliance with the Constitution, because some members felt that this bill, in some respect, may actually be offending Article 172(1)(d) of the Constitution. This is purely because the mandate to manage functions and powers of the judiciary are vested in the JSC, and therefore this academy may be actually getting powers which it should not be having. The correct position is that we are now establishing the Kenya Judiciary Academy that is going to be in charge of training, management, and other functions relating to judicial staff and judicial members. Concern is raised on Clause 4, whereby it establishes the academy as a body corporate, and the argument here is that as a body corporate, it may be separate and distinctive from the judiciary, and therefore it may be having powers which are not constitutionally conferred. The correct position is that we are establishing an agency of the Judicial Service Commission so that some of the functions which are performed by the Judicial Service Commission can be delegated to this entity, and therefore this entity is going to be an agent of JSC. If it is an agent, then its powers are within the mandate of the delegation. It cannot perform any other functions apart from those that are conferred by this statute, and those functions must be under Article 172(1) of the Constitution. Therefore, we will be making or proposing an amendment so that everything that this academy does is in line with the Constitution, the functions of the JSC, and any other mandate this House, within the powers granted to it by the Constitution, can give to the academy. The academy is similar to institutions, including our Center for Parliamentary Studies, including the government school, which is under PSC, and especially the School of Government is also a body corporate, and it's able to discharge the statutory mandate given to it under the constitutional provisions. If there are any other areas that we need to look at, we have our report, and every member is requested to study the same so that we do not argue that we are forming a body that may be ultra vires the Constitution, while in essence, we have actually proposed to align this body, a corporate body, with the functions of the JSC and also with what the Constitution provides. With those remarks, I urge the House to pass this bill and also deal with the amendments when they come to the House during the third reading of the bill. Honorable Speaker, I beg to support.
Yes, those who are interested in debating this, please press the intervention button. Okay, Honorable Beatrice Elachi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to support, but to put in a few of the queries, because when you read the bill, while I appreciate, Madam Speaker, that the bill indeed is to improve and strengthen the independence of the judiciary, but at the same time, Madam Speaker, we need to be very careful so that we don't risk into getting into bureaucracy, and especially when you have a board, Madam Speaker, a board that definitely will work, will have an operational cost, if not managed efficiently, Madam Speaker. And also, we should be very careful. I know the chair has told us there's no duplication of functions. The biggest challenge we always face, Madam Speaker, is when Kenyans are given a job, they forget that, and when they get into office and now take power, they definitely will just go beyond the lines that they've been given. And so it is something that when we are saying it's under the Judicial Service Commission, and therefore we need to ask ourselves whether the Judicial Service Commission, the same way we have Parliamentary Service Commission, Madam Speaker, and we have our CPST. I think that is the best way this academy should be run, so that it is completely under the Judicial Service Commission. And so the issues of governance will still arise, Madam Speaker, if we are not careful in, and I'm hoping when we look at the amendments, we shall see how the amendments now will realign the bill under the Judicial Service Commission. And so that also we don't create another entity that now comes in and then you'll find yourself looking for resources to manage it, and yet we are using the same public resources. Madam Speaker, it's a good idea, because at the same time, I'm hoping it will take care of, while you look at the academics and all that, and the capacity building of the judges, I think the most important thing is how do you ensure also that most of the challenges we face in court is when you find a judge who will find himself not really understanding policy that we use. There's sometimes when we do our public policies within our quarters of work, especially as politicians, you find that sometimes, not because the judge will want, but because he will not understand why the current affairs in X constituencies like this and why this is a matter that is of public interest, I think that will now help us so that we don't go back in the challenges we always face of public interest vis-a-vis the law and how you balance that. So, Madam Speaker, in this, when you look at 9, they tell you that there will be a chairperson and members of the board shall be paid such allowances as may be determined by the commission in consultation with the salaries. See, the moment you go to that, then now you have moved out of what we are saying, run the institution the way we run CPST. We have our members coming from Parliament, they go to CPST. We have our professor there, but he's under CPST, and they sit in the Parliamentary Service Commission. And so I am hoping some of those who sit on the Judicial Service Commission will be able to sit in this committee so that you don't do a lot of duplication, and that in the same time, they are able to manage and to ensure that within the regulations that have been passed, it will work. You have a Director General who will be responsible of the strategic direction and leadership of the academy. Then you have the Director General who may perform such other duties as may be assigned by the board. So the moment you have that, it means you have 2 separate boards, Madam Speaker. And I can tell you there will be conflict between the Judicial Service Commission and this board if we did not realign it properly. And then lastly, when you look at the financial provisions, which is in part 3, that the funds of the academy shall comprise of monies allocated to the Judicial Service Commission for purposes of the academy and approved by the National Assembly. And this is where I was saying, Madam Speaker, if you are not careful, now you have to ensure the Judicial Service Commission runs the judiciary, but this one becomes a semi-autonomy where again we are allocating resources for them. And so those are some of the things we need to look at, even as we agree with the bill, Madam Speaker. So with those few remarks, I beg your support, but I'm hoping we shall have very serious amendments in realigning so that this academy is specifically just run by the Judicial Service Commission. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also join my colleagues in supporting this important bill, Honorable Speaker. And just as we have School of Government, we have Parliamentary Training Institution, I think it's important that we also have the Judicial Service Academy. I see a number of benefits from this academy, Honorable Speaker, despite what my colleagues are saying in terms of areas where we could improve. But among the benefits I'd like to realize, Honorable Speaker, the first one is coming up with a training curriculum which is standardized, so that most of the judicial officers are taken through a common training, which will ensure that then quality, in terms of quality, it is improved, Honorable Speaker. The other important bit, Honorable Speaker, is that through this academy, we could have tailor-made college training opportunities which are really localized and which are applicable to our environment, so that at the end of the day, Honorable Speaker, we don't have to keep on sending our judicial officers out of country to train, Honorable Speaker. When you have a local academy, you can easily train our people locally, so that we only send them out there for very specialized training opportunities, Honorable Speaker, and that will save this country the money we are spending on external travel, Honorable Speaker. At the same time, Honorable Speaker, this could also be an opportunity to generate income for the Judicial Service Commission, Honorable Speaker, because we could make this academy also a regional academy where We have other neighboring countries sending their judicial officers to this country for training. And on that note, Honorable Speaker, just as we are making a lot of money as Parliament from the training, from regional training, this academy could also actually generate their own income, what we call A&A, through training our neighboring countries, and more so the judicial officers, Honorable Speaker. Last but not least, Honorable Speaker, this academy will also create opportunities for employment for our lecturers and people who are in this area, Honorable Speaker, so that we have many more Kenyans joining this academy to train. And these are opportunities which are not very common, Honorable Speaker. And I'm sure most of our lecturers who are out there, who are trained in this area, could easily, Honorable Speaker, then take advantage of those opportunities and make money, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, we have heard what Honorable Rachi is saying in terms of the board. I do believe that the board, the composition of the board, Honorable Speaker, will draw from even the Judicial Service Commission. And we might only have very few board members who will be drawing allowances because the others will be drawing from the main commission, Honorable Speaker. But also, and done, Honorable Speaker, it's also important to have our members also join these boards so that they also provide strategic thinking and leadership to these boards, Honorable Speaker. So with those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I do support this bill and wish that it will be fast-tracked to make sure that this academy becomes operational. I support, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Seme.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Madam Speaker, I start by saying I support this bill because I think it is of great importance to our society. Madam Speaker, justice, peace, and harmony is what keeps the human society running. And that's what distinguishes us from animals. And that justice, peace, and harmony is dependent on actually the judicial services, police services, public prosecution, criminal investigation systems. But of all this, Madam Speaker, when all that has been put together, the judges and the judicial officers actually bear the greatest responsibility of that, how that comes out when it is being processed in the system. And the legal professions which they belong, like all other professions, are based on proper, appropriate, and full knowledge of, in this case, the practice of law. And we are aware, Madam Speaker, that both knowledge and practice changes as the society changes. It is therefore important that professionals in this area continue to keep abreast with the changes that occur. And Article 172(1)(d) of our Constitution actually recognizes this and provides for continuous legal education and training of judges and judicial officers. This bill exactly does that. I think that's what this bill is designed for. And it does that by establishing the academy itself. It also provides structures for running that academy. As our members have indicated, there may be instances where certain structures may conflict with the other, but I think that we can look, when we come to the committee of the whole house, we can make amendments so that we remove such contradictions. The bill also provides for the funding of the academy in clause 13. And I note that he provides that funds will be made available through the National Assembly, through the Judicial Fund, through levies and fees. And on levies and fees, Madam Speaker, I will say that the academy should make maximum effort to actually focus on improving skills and knowledge of the judicial officers and the judges, instead of actually trying to raise funds. This normally becomes a weakness of institutions. When they focus on raising funds, then they start to lose what is their main mandate, which in this case is to maintain the skills and the knowledge of these officers. And therefore, we really, as a parliament, in my view, we should actually strive to keep this institution well funded so that they focus on what they really need to do to sharpen the skills and knowledge of these officers. This bill also in clause 5 provides for continuing research. This is extremely important. In all areas, as the society changes, there is need for research to see what changes are taking place in the society norms, in international relations, and even in technology. You know, technology will be used in provision of legal services in the judicial system, but also technology will be used in crime, in criminology. And quite often, if the officers are not actually abreast with what is happening, then really they will not provide the services that are required. Therefore, in my view, Madam Speaker, I think this is a well-intended bill. In broad terms, it has actually covered all the areas that it needs to cover, and therefore I support this bill. Thank you.
Honorable members, allow me to recognize the following schools: Chebunyo Christian School, Chebalungu Constituency, Bomet County, and Imenti Junior School from Laikipia East Constituency, Laikipia County, who are seated in the public gallery. We also have Kasue Girls Secondary School, Kibwezi East Constituency, Makueni County. Honorable members, I also wish to introduce to you a delegation of 26 officers drawn from the various national and county government institutions who are seated in the Speaker's Gallery. The delegation is undertaking a training on protocol, etiquette, and events management in the legislature at the Center of Parliamentary Studies and Training, CPST. On my own behalf and that of the National Assembly, I welcome you to Parliament and wish them fruitful deliberations. Thank you. Member for Chebalungu, you wanted to welcome the students on our behalf? Give him the mic.
Yeah, thank you so much, Madam Speaker. I appreciate the opportunity to welcome the students who have come to visit Parliament today. And in particular, Honorable Speaker, allow me to welcome Christian Academy that is in Chepalungu constituency. It is a school in Chepalungu constituency that offers education, Honorable Speaker. And I'm privileged today to stand here in this floor to welcome them so that they can appreciate what we normally come to do. And at least, Honorable Speaker, to encourage them that when they work hard, one day, one time, they will be able to as well be here to represent their people in various capacities. Parliament is not just for members of Parliament, it has other career opportunities. Honorable Speaker, allow me to welcome all those that have come here today so that they can witness how Parliament transacts its business. Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Mishi Boko, member for Likoni.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I also stand to support this bill, the Kenya Judicial Academy Bill 2025. Madam Speaker, this bill tends to operationalize Article 172(1)(d) of the Constitution. Madam Speaker, as we know, the Judicial Service Commission has a mandate to ensure continuous education and training of the judges, magistrates, and judicial staffs. Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as we have seen in the clause 3, which established the Kenya Judicial Academy as a regional center of excellence in judicial training. Madam Speaker, as we know, our judges, the magistrates, deal with complex issues. They deal with a lot of cases. And most of the cases, they need to get capacity building rather like having continuous education to get more expertise, to get more experiences, and also to learn more on the emerging issues in terms of justice, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, you need to understand even right now, we have because of the new technology, we have issues like the digital evidence, we have the issues to do with cybercrime, the issue of artificial intelligence, and most of the time our judges, our magistrates, they only do workshops and seminars, and it is occasional, Madam Speaker. Having this platform, it means it's like they're having a home, or rather their own institution, whereby they can have capacity building and they can have continuous education in terms of their mandate, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, when you talk about research and formulating of policies, as members of Parliament, each and every time we keep on formulating some policies, we keep
And of course, Mr. Speaker, when you come to the goods which are being imported into the country, whether these foods are eggs, whether these foods are sugarcane, whether it is meat, these, I think, this House must take responsibility. And the reason why the chair, who is really my brother and friend, has made his presentation, but I am worried about how we package our food. I grew up as a young child seeing meat being hung out of a wall in a place where you see flies and animals, and that's normal. And yet in this bill and this negotiated, mediated discussion that has come up, I have not seen anywhere where it's being discussed what we are going with the way we handle meat. We are handling our meat through abattoirs. The abattoirs are the places where the meat is being cleaned. If you go to some of them, you will find that even running water doesn't exist. So these are things that I think, Chair of the Department of Agriculture, how I wish that we would have spent more time as the Senate, even some of us who are not in your committee, so that we can actually begin to seriously look at what do we do with our food. And the fear I have is, with the way we are managing our food, we just need to have a calamity like Ebola, which is food-based. And then once you've killed 200,000 people, that's when we will come and sit and say, let's sit down and discuss what to do with this. Therefore, I would like to say, yes, we understand the challenges. We know what needs to be done. Some of us understand because most of us are from this sector and we have studied most of these things. I think, Mr. Speaker, we now need to look at what role the Senate can perform in terms of packaging of food, in terms of management, treatment of food, in terms of growing the food. Are we using GMO seeds? What are the effects? What is the research? Have we got stakeholders to come and tell us how we are managing this food? Or are we just managing our food industry as a sector where we just need to make money and where many of us have an interest and we are not interested at all to make sure that our poor people are protected because they are vulnerable? Even some of the imports we are getting, so many people. If you listen and discuss, KEFIS, you look at the AFA, you look at all the agencies, CALRO, these are government agencies that have got a responsibility to make sure that they provide Kenyan members or the Kenyan public the services the Kenyan public deserves. And yet, we constantly fail our country. And finally, Chair, I want to say that I am uncomfortable because most of our food processing plants, abattoirs, are county-based. And yet, if you go to, I can give you, Chair, if you go to where we are actually slaughtering our cows, a place called Suneka and one place in Kisii town, which is called Darajambili, The only person you're going to see is the veterinary officer. How the meat leaves the place. And right now, many of the food is packaged in pickups, thrown in a box system where the thing is put in. Even putting meat into a cooling plant or a cooling vehicle so that it's transported at the highest hygiene standard does not matter. I remember when I was growing up, Chairman, we used to have meat inspectors on the highways. Right now, I don't think there is any of us in this house who can stand up and say whether they know the meat they ate last night was from donkey or zebra or cow. And these are things we have to be concerned about as leadership. With those very, very many remarks, Mr. Speaker, I would like to say that I hope that my team members in this house are actually going to look at this issue seriously and come up with interventions and mitigations that are going to make sure that food consumption and utilization of food services in our country are standardized, so that if somebody comes out of this country and arrives, whether they've come from Europe or whatever, they should at least be sure that our food is sanitized, it's served well, it is clean, and it has no other issues which would injure the health of our people. With those few remarks, I want to say, Madam Speaker, I will support, but I hope that the committee will be able to do much more than you've done so far. Thank you.
Now, honorable senators, before I allow further debate on this motion, allow me to make the following communication. Honorable senators, I have the following communication to make. The communication relates to the judgment of the High Court, Constitutional and Human Rights Division at Nairobi, Constitutional Petition number E565 of 2024, the Honorable His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua and 57 others versus the Speaker of the National Assembly, the National Assembly of Kenya, the Speaker of the Senate of Kenya, and 23 others, delivered yesterday, the 8th of June 2026, and extensively covered in the print and electronic media since then. Honorable senators, it is noted that from the onset that the Speaker of the Senate and the Senate of Kenya were listed as the third and fourth respondents to this petition. To this end, the Senate was represented and participated fully in the conduct of the petition, culminating in the delivery of the judgment yesterday, as aforesaid. From listening to the judgment and the media summary of the judgment issued by the court yesterday, 8th of June 2026, it is clear that certain findings and final orders of the court with respect to the conduct by the Senate of the impeachment proceedings with respect to His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua have been faulted in that judgment. Now, honorable senators, following the delivery of the judgment, we have been advised by counsel for the Senate that among the findings of the High Court in the lengthy judgment delivered yesterday include the following finding, and I quote, the right to a fair trial under Article 47 and 50. We find that His Excellency Gachagua's rights were infringed when the Senate declined to allow an adjournment. The violation constitutes both a vindication of his rights and a recognition of the constitutional infirmity in the process, but does not undo the impeachment itself, given the finality of Article 145(7) and the constitutional absurdity that would arise from dual incumbency. Secondly, in its final orders, we have been advised by the High Court, that the High Court has made the following orders, and I quote, a declaratory order is hereby issued that His Excellency Gachagua's fair trial rights were infringed when the Senate declined to allow an adjournment in the impeachment proceeding despite his absence. The courts award constitutional damages of 50 million to His Excellency Gachagua, payable by the Senate to vindicate the Constitution, restore the dignity of the affected party, and deter future violations. Now, honorable senators, we have instructed our counsel to apply for certified copies of the proceedings and file a notice of appeal immediately. Even as we prepare for the appellate process, it is appropriate that certain matters be put on record to calm a restive public which is concerned about a judgment which portrays the Senate as an institution which, sitting as a quasi-judicial body, failed to grant the former Deputy President a fair hearing. The court faults the Senate as having infringed on the rights of the former Deputy President by declining to allow an adjournment without considering the circumstances and the context in which that determination was made. Although the court cites the Hansard of that day, it does not take due account of the series of events. The impeachment process had proceeded without incident and in the presence of the former Deputy President until the last day when the Senate adjourned for lunch. The National Assembly had concluded, including evidence in chief, cross-examination and re-examination. The former Deputy President and his counsel were made aware that His Excellency Gachagua will take the stand on resumption after lunch. Upon resumption, Senior Counsel Paul Mwite for the former Deputy President first began by informing the Senate that he was not aware of his client's whereabouts, forcing the Senate to temporarily suspend the proceeding to allow Senior Counsel Paul Mwite to establish the whereabouts of his client. Upon resumption, and that is after long wait, counsel stated that he had learned that his client had been taken ill. Notably, counsel did not make any effort, even when requested by the Senate, to provide any evidence to support his claim. However, the court determines that the Senate should nevertheless have allowed the adjournment request. In essence, the High Court is telling this Senate that it had to allow an adjournment request that was not backed by any evidence to support a claim of illness or other reason for the unavailability of the former Deputy President. This finding is even more troubling when the court itself first admitted a belated affidavit of Dr. Gikonyo, submitted 2 years after the impeachment, and then dismissed it as being of no consequence to the proceedings, and wondered why this evidence was not presented in the Senate 2 years ago when the application for an adjournment was being made. The court cites the speeches of some senators on the floor in debate as an acknowledgement by the Senate itself that the former Deputy President was indeed ill, but ignores entirely the speeches of those in debate who contended that to exercise the discretion to allow the adjournment, the Senate, as the impeachment court, had to be satisfied on evidence that the application was meritorious and was not merely a tool to frustrate, delay, or altogether stop the impeachment process. As is well known, the speeches of individual senators in debate on the floor do not constitute decisions or determinations by the Senate. Now, honorable senators, the High Court fails to recognize that the Senate did not determine that an adjournment could not be granted. Indeed, the vote on the motion on the request for an adjournment was precisely on whether to grant the adjournment or not. The Senate, as the impeachment court, decided not to grant the adjournment request in these particular circumstances of the day because of the absence of evidence or good cause presented to it. This is standard practice for any judicial or quasi-judicial body. The Senate, like any other judicial or quasi-judicial body, including, for that matter, the High Court itself, only grants adjournment on good reasons. The discretion to grant an adjournment is not automatic. It must be exercised judiciously, balancing the right to a fair trial with the constitutional mandate to avoid unnecessary delays and dispose of cases judiciously. In the matter at hand, it is probably true to say that no court, in the circumstances the Senate found itself in, with an application for an adjournment entirely devoid of any supporting evidence on its merits, would have granted an adjournment. An applicant for an adjournment must provide cogent, credible, and convincing reasons why a trial should not proceed. The court gravely misdirects itself on the import of the rights of an accused person under Article 50 of the Constitution by failing to recognize the right to be present is a right of the accused person and not an obligation. An accused person who, having had the evidence adduced against him and had an opportunity to challenge it in person or by advocate on cross-examination, chooses without a good cause shown to absent himself from further proceedings, whether with the aim of paralyzing proceedings or otherwise, for any other reason, cannot benefit from the provisions of Article 50. No court properly interpreting the Constitution should find that the right to a fair trial has been violated because an accused person has chosen to absent themselves from his trial or any part of it without providing sound reasons or evidence for that course of conduct. For these reasons, a key part of the appeal to be preferred by the Senate will center on this plainly erroneous finding of the High Court. Honorable Senators, having reached the foregoing erroneous finding, the Court then proceeds to issue orders that have recited above, which the Senate will, among other matters of fact and law, also be challenging in the Court of Appeal. The order for constitutional damages of Kenya shillings 50 million to His Excellency Gachagua being predicated on erroneous findings and regulatory orders of the court will similarly be challenged. Honorable Senators, the Senate is first to pledge fidelity to the supremacy of the Constitution and all the inbuilt principles of the rule of law and separation of powers. In similar vein, the Senate will robustly stand in defense of the Constitution from derogation and violation from any quarter, not least the courts of law. The Senate must do this not for its own sake, but because it is the duty of every person and Article 3 of the Constitution to respect, uphold, and defend the Constitution. I thank you. Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for your communication. I felt that that is extremely important, what you have set on record, because I went to bed a very worried man last night, Mr. Speaker. As a leader in the House, Mr. Speaker, and more so a servant of the people, I felt that my very authority and fidelity to the rule of law was being challenged. There are many things that citizens can say about Parliament, but Mr. Speaker, you'll agree with me that one of the things that this House is most celebrated for is how we conduct impeachment trials in the chambers of this House. Over the years, Mr. Speaker, as I have been a member of this House and those that have been here long enough know that at the conclusion of every impeachment trial, Mr. Speaker, notwithstanding how the impeachment ends, this House has always been commended for how it carries out its duty and it's celebrated for that. I felt, Mr. Speaker, that the judges yesterday night almost swept our work and wanted to throw us under the bus, Mr. Speaker, erroneously so. Mr. Speaker, it need not be lost to those particular judges, like you have correctly cited, Mr. Speaker, that on that particular afternoon when we resumed, this House was ready to present the opportunity to be heard to the client that was before us. Unfortunately, first of all, his advocate, if I recall very well, and I indeed do, Mr. Speaker, told us as a House to our shock that as the advocate on record, I can tell you I don't know where my client is. Then after a few minutes, 30 minutes later, Mr. Speaker, and you granted the opportunity that Advocate Paul Mwite goes to search for his client. 30 minutes later, he returned to this House empty-handed, Mr. Speaker, and said, I am now informed that actually my client has been taken ill. This House requested, Mr. Speaker, as any constitutional organ would, Mr. Speaker, for at least some form of evidence to support that. All Mr. Mwite needed to do, Mr. Speaker, was to inform the House that give me a few minutes, Karen Hospital, where his client is supposed to have been admitted, Mr. Speaker, is barely 20 to 30 minutes from here if he had physically to go there. Or, Mr. Speaker, given the magnitude of the matter that was before us, he could have asked for an email from that particular hospital confirming what was happening. Therefore, to wrongly accuse this House, Mr. Speaker, that we denied Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua an opportunity for fair trial, Mr. Speaker, I felt, Mr. Speaker, that that should not go without challenge. I am happy that you have put it on record, Mr. Speaker, that as a Senate of this Republic, we shall be challenging that finding because we completely disagree with it. We did our work, Mr. Speaker, with utmost good faith, Mr. Speaker. Lastly, on this particular item of fair trial, Mr. Speaker, and maybe I could say this, listening to the judges yesterday, Mr. Speaker, as I have always argued on many occasions, that there is a clear struggle by members of our bench in this country, Mr. Speaker, to understand the procedures of this House. Either they humble themselves and invite an invitation, Mr. Speaker, for a sort of understanding between us as a legislature and them as a judiciary, so that they better understand our procedures, Mr. Speaker, as opposed to them trying to invent and guide us on how we do some of these procedures. I listened actually with utmost shock. One of the judges argued, Mr. Speaker, that it was faulty for us to elect to trial an impeachment by way of committee of the whole, that we are only supposed to do it by a 10-man committee. I could not believe it, Mr. Speaker. That is a judge of the High Court of the Republic. It is my hope, Mr. Speaker, that these obvious errors which I see judges continue to make on the work of Parliament, Mr. Speaker, that between you as a Speaker and the Chief Justice, that one day you shall organize a colloquium where we can educate each other on procedures of both houses, as opposed to one party appearing to guide the other on procedures of the other arm of government and doing it so wrongly. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, while I celebrate this, Mr. Speaker, I want to agree that we must enter, Mr. Speaker, a notice of appeal in the quickest time possible, because this cannot remain unchallenged. We did our work in utmost good faith, Mr. Speaker, and McHugh appearance by speaking was not the only way of trial that we could have done on this matter. Remember, there were already affidavits that were before us, sworn by the same individual, Mr. Speaker, informing us of his responses to all the matters that were before us. Therefore, listening to him was just to confirm what his affidavits were telling us. Therefore, it is not fair to say that we never granted him an opportunity to be heard by this House. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I agree with that decision. Thank you so much.
Senator Mazayo.
Asante mstahiki Spika. Mstahiki Spika, kwanza nataka kusema ni jambo la kusikitisha kuona ya kwamba katika uamuzi wa wale majaji walioketi watatu waliweza kuona ya kwamba pengine Senate haikumpatia nafasi ya kuweza kujitetea vilivyo kama mshtakiwa. Lakini nataka kusema ya kwamba runinga na kila mahali waliona katika Kenya nzima ya kwamba katika kesi hii tulimpatia nafasi yule aliyekuwa ameshtakiwa, Bwana Gachagua, Mheshimiwa Gachagua, kwa nyakati zote. Hata tukizingatia zaidi ni kwamba ulikuwa wakati mwingi tulimpatia wa asubuhi yote mpaka wakati wa karibu saa 7. Aliongea zaidi ya masaa 6 akiweza kuulizwa maswali ambayo anaongozwa na wakili wake, na wakili si mwingine bali ni wakili maarufu sana, na ni wakili ambaye amebobea katika sheria. Ndugu yetu awasinia ambaye ni Paul Mwite aliweza kumpeleka kulinganisha na vile alivyokuwa ameandika taarifa yake, akaileta hapa, na yale yote hiyo ilikuwa katika record. Na jambo la kusikitisha zaidi ni kwamba baada ya kwamba mawakili wote wale waliokuwa nao walipewa nafasi pia kuongezea kuzidi kumweka vizuri Bwana Gachagua, na alikuwa yuko sawa kabisa. Asubuhi wote alikuwa yuko sawa, alikuwa anacheka na anajibu maswali kisawa sawa. Bwana Spika, baada ya hapo sasa, kwa sababu ilikuwa katika sheria zetu tunasema ya kwamba ikiwa tutakusikiza wewe kama bunge lote, yani ya committee of the whole house, ikiwa tutaketi chini na kuweza kusikiza, basi kila mtu atawahi kuuliza maswali. na ilikuwa amemaliza asubuhi yote mpaka saa 7, akapatia watu kama dakika 30 40 kwenda kupumzika tu na kurudi na kuweza kuja kumsikiza yeye. Ilikuwa ni wakati wa bunge la Senate sasa, kwa sababu amemaliza kujitetea, kwa sababu amemaliza kusema alivyotendewa kwamba si haki. Ilikuwa sasa ni wakati wa yeye kuulizwa maswali na bunge la Senate. Jambo la kusikitisha ama jambo la kushangaza ni kwamba alitoweka. Hata wakili wake alisema hajui yule mteja wake yuko wapi, ambalo ni jambo la kushangaza, kwa sababu wakati watu wamepewa nafasi ya kwenda kupumzika pengine kwa lisali moja, ingekuwa na akaondoka na wakili wake kwenda kujadiliana. Tunatarajia mchana ukifika, pengine wale maseneta watakuuliza swali hili na hili na hili na hili, wakamtayarisha ili aje. Lakini jambo la kusikitisha ni kwamba walipokwenda huko, dalili zinaonyesha wazi kabisa ni kwamba walimwambia wewe usijaribu kurudi tena, kwa sababu lile bunge la Senate inaonekana wako tayari kukuuliza maswali. Na ni vile vile kumalizia ni kwamba si usawa kusema ya kwamba utarudi mchana, ama umeagizwa na bunge la Senate, umeagizwa na spika kwamba njoo mchana sasa utapata nafasi ya kuweza kujibu maswali utakayoulizwa na maseneta, kwa sababu sasa ni wakati wa ile nyumba ya Senate yote kuweza kukuuliza maswali. Bwana Spika, hapo mimi naona ni jambo la kusikitisha kusema kwamba katika wale majaji waliokuwa wameketi pale kwamba hakupewa nafasi ya kujitetea na bunge la Senate. Hapo naona kidogo kulikuwa na mushkili wa hiyo uamuzi wao. Kwa hiyo ni umuhimu ikiwa bunge la Senate linaweza kuchukua hatua hiyo kuweza kujitetea vilivyo, tukipewa nafasi watakapokuwa wameenda katika hiyo koti wanaosema, ama wakienda katika koti yote. Lakini koti ya rufaa ya kitengo cha juu ni kwamba bunge la Senate lazima lijitetee. Hakukuwa na uagizo ya kwamba alikuwa ameomba apewe ridhaa ya milioni 50. Kwa hiyo hatuoni hata kwa nini wanaweza kuchaji, ama ilikuwa vipi mpaka wakafika hiyo milioni 50 ya kwamba Senate iweze kulipa katika hiyo kesi iliyokuwa ndani ya koti. Kwa hiyo sisi tunasema hiyo kesi tuko na nafasi nzuri kama bunge la Senate kuweza kujitetea, na hata wananchi wenyewe waliona wazi kabisa ya kwamba bunge la Senate halikupewa nafasi ya kumuuliza maswali, kwa sababu yeye mwenyewe hakuweko wakati wa mchana. Iliibuka tu baadaye kwamba alikuwa ameenda katika hospitali inayoitwa Karen, na halafu baadaye, baada ya miaka 2, daktari wake anaandika ile tunaita affidavit ama maono ya haki, akisema kwamba pengine alikuwa ni mgonjwa. Lakini sisi hatukuletewa karatasi yoyote ya kuambiwa kwamba yeye ni mgonjwa. Kwa hiyo kama Senate haikuambiwa yeye ni mgonjwa, itakuwaje Senate iweze kupigwa faini? Kwa hiyo bwana Spika, mimi naona uamuzi uliotolewa na hiyo koti ya hao majaji watatu ulikuwa si wa haki na inafaa utupiliwe mbali katika koti ya juu zaidi. Asante bwana Spika.
Now, honorable senators, this was just a communication, not a source of debate. I will allow maybe 2 or more, but keep it under 3 minutes. Senator Boni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to speak strongly on your communication because there is an attempt in this country for certain people, irrespective of their status in society or the offices they hold, to belittle the role of institutions. Mr. Speaker, if we allow Parliament, and Senate in particular, to be challenged in the manner that the judges did, we will be weakening Parliament, and there might be a deliberate attempt, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that the powers where we sit as a trial chamber that maybe do not please the people who practice in the courts should be removed from the institution of Parliament so that it remains they are preserved. Mr. Speaker, I want to agree with you that we must appeal. But Mr. Speaker, I have heard you. I want to request that you consider also factoring in the appeal what Justice, allow me to quote, what Justice Anthony Mrima said himself, without being prompted by the Council of the Senate. Mrima said, it must be emphasized that the Senate is not a mere conveyor belt for matters originating from the National Assembly or any other entity. He went on and added that it is a revered house vested with autonomy and empowered to make decisions by way of resolution, and therefore the Senate retains the discretion to determine whether to accept any motion or petition for further deliberation. He must be reminded that when he was thinking rationally, as I have quoted him, how was he expecting this Senate without any application from Senior Counsel Paul Mwite that his client had fallen ill? How, without evidence, did he expect the Senate with the kind of discretion that he has?
1 minute to conclude.
In conclusion, without that, for us to then agree with them, are they saying if somebody facing charges of robbery with violence flashes and dashes out of court, and his lawyers say, we don't know where he is, we don't know where he's going, then the judge immediately says that we discontinue the proceedings? No, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have gone to school properly. The purpose of university education is for you to have organized thinking, critical thinking, the capacity, Mr. Speaker, to see the difference between right and wrong. The judges were wrong yesterday on this one. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Kajwang.
Mr. Speaker, in many legal systems, a jury does not have to justify the decision that it has made. A jury does not have to explain itself. And so as a House, we sat as a jury. We should not try to justify the decision that we made, because the decision that we made was in line with the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, I heard some people say yesterday that yesterday was a funeral of the Republic of Kenya, the funeral of the Constitution. I want to tell them yesterday perhaps was the birthday of the Republic of Kenya and the birthday of the Constitution. Because if this matter goes to the Court of Appeal, goes all the way to the Supreme Court, it will help us address some things that have remained outstanding for long. The issue of impeachment processes, the issue of public participation, the issue of Chapter 6. Mr. Speaker, I would be happy if the Court of Appeal or even the Supreme Court could be moved at certain points in time to expand the scope, the limitation on holding of public office on account of violation of Chapter 6 to go beyond persons who have been impeached and to perhaps include persons who have been indicted by the Auditor General and other institutions like the EACC. Mr. Speaker, I fully support your decision to appeal that particular matter. And Mr. Speaker, if there was a problem in terms of raising the 50 million, that is in case you are not successful in appeal, I want to inform the House that the Public Accounts Committee has issued fines of 500,000 shillings to 20 governors. So we'll be able to raise at least 10 million shillings. But Mr. Speaker, I do hope that we shall not get into it. But though, Mr. Speaker, a fundamental observation that I saw yesterday in court is that members of this House who sat as jurors, who participated in the process, would go to court to defend or to represent positions against the Senate. Mr. Speaker, there needs to be some hygiene. We must decide whether we want to be senators or we want to be litigants out there challenging decisions of the Senate. Mr. Speaker, once you have sat as part of the jury in this House, it would appear to be out of order for you to go out there and say that you agree with the judges that there was no due process, there was no fairness in the Senate. That is a matter that must be dealt with. And Mr. Speaker, the Constitution is clear on state officers taking up other paid jobs. Those are things we must look at. But, Mr. Speaker, I am happy that the courts made that decision. Let's allow the Court of Appeal to deal with the remaining issues, and let's also accept that no institution is infallible. Let's accept that we can make decisions and anyone aggrieved can go to court, and anyone aggrieved at the High Court can go to the other levels. But I hope that this then marks the...
Senator Mungatana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Paul Mwite was behind me here. I was seated very closely to him when he told us a ridiculous thing that he does not know where his client has gone. And Mr. Speaker, in the same breath, Paul Mwite was telling us he needs time. We gave him time as a Senate to go and look for his client. He came back and said he does not know where his client is. And Paul Mwite is a senior counsel, Mr. Speaker. He used to be chairman of our law society when we were younger and in active practice. So, Mr. Speaker, we found this extremely ridiculous. There is no way that we can reward misbehavior in court proceedings. We cannot reward that, Mr. Speaker. I fully support, Mr. Speaker, that we should file an appeal in proceedings, whether they are quasi-judicial or they are proper judicial. If you choose to run away from those proceedings, you forfeit your rights. You forfeit them by choice. And Mr. Speaker, the videos are all here. We must not create the impressions amongst Kenyans that Mr. Gachagwa's rights were violated. There was no violation. He chose to run away. That's a fact. He ran away, didn't tell his lawyers, didn't tell anybody, and we must tell the truth as it is. He knew that he was coming for cross-examination. When he was saying his case, he was okay. But when he knew that you are going to ask about the family affairs, ask about the violations that were being complained of within the family, he knew, Mr. Speaker, and he ran away. He ran away from this court, Mr. Speaker. He ran away. He should not tell Kenyans or the court tell us that we didn't give him a chance. He simply disappeared. And the court must be fair to this Senate. This Senate gave him all the opportunities, Mr. Speaker. We must appeal these decisions, and Kenyans must be told the truth. Possibly, Mr. Speaker, these clips must be replayed on KBC or any other channel so that Kenyans can know the truth. The judges were totally wrong on this one, and they must be told on their faces. They were wrong. You cannot, even them, if an accused person runs away from your court, you don't stop proceedings. You proceed because he chose to forfeit his right.
Senator Wambua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I walked in and my neighbor, the senator for Tana River, was very agitated about some allegations he's making on the floor. The Speaker, I'm here to just put the record straight. What is good for the goose is equally good for the gander. We had an opportunity, the Speaker, to process the impeachment of the former Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, and by a majority vote, the impeachment went through. The courts were given an opportunity to exercise their constitutional duty and mandate to look into the process that this August House and the National Assembly went through and determine whether the process was fair or not fair. The Speaker, when I listen to debate across the country today, and because we don't live in isolation, we live in a society. The courts have made a ruling. They have said, the Speaker, that the constitutional right of the former Deputy President to a fair trial was breached. The Speaker, that's where we are today. There will be opportunity for lawyers from both sides of the argument to appeal. But the Speaker, as a layman, I speak as a layman, I'm not a lawyer, and in one of the forums last night, the Speaker, I made this note, that as a layman, one who is not schooled in law, I fail to understand, I have tried to understand, I fail to understand, the Speaker, how a process that a court declares to have been flawed can produce a legitimate outcome. That is the Speaker, and I think that's going to be a matter for the Court of Appeal if this matter goes there.
Senator Wambua, maybe I assist you. Your colleagues are reacting to a communication that I've made. Are you privy to the contents of that communication? Okay, then react to the communication. We are not reacting to the entire judgment, just my communication.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is what I will say about the communication. That, yes, because the Senate was also a party to that matter, Mr. Speaker, we will also appeal the decision.
1 more minute, Honorable Senator.
We will appeal to the Court of Appeal, the Speaker, and that we should, because the right that we have. And if that appeal is upheld, then the Senate will have saved that 50 million Kenya shillings. But the Speaker, even as we do that, and allow me to say this, even as we do that, this must be a constant reminder to us that whatever it is that we do, we are not the final authority. The things that we do today, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, they will return to us, and a judgment will be passed by other people about our own actions. The Speaker, I submit.
Senator Wambua, just do like what Senator Mtata has done, getting a copy of the communication, because clearly you are not privy to the contents of that communication. Senator Chiranke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, and thank you for communicating on this live matter, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, yesterday we saw the judgment of the High Court, and I want to agree with the House that we do appeal, because as somebody has said, Mr. Speaker, is jury in any proceeding are not subjected to be interrogated, Mr. Speaker. 50 million is a lot for the Senate, Mr. Speaker, and we did our part. I am happy, Mr. Speaker, that, and I know we raised in our submission, that the doctrine of separation of powers must be respected at all given time, Mr. Speaker. And I saw the facts. I want to advise my colleagues, is what we call re ipsa loquita. Speaks for itself. And when I saw Lady Justice Mugambi, who taught me, Mr. Speaker, that's why I'm a serious lawyer of serious pedigree, said very well, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, said with a lot of certainty that the Senate operates on doctrine of separation of powers, Mr. Speaker, And the work we do under Article 125 on the work of the committees and the standing order, as per standing order number 78, and under Article 145 of the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya, Mr. Speaker, we did our part as a Senate. And we will not allow us to be fined. I don't agree with the entirety of the judgment of the court, High Court, Mr. Speaker. I agree on the part where they agreed with us that the Deputy President was validly impeached as the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, even let us assume, I was shocked when the court said that Dr. Kigonyo's affidavit did not have a probative value. And then they went ahead and disregarded that. How can we operate as a house when the former impeached Deputy President ran away, literally? Does it mean we needed to stop? He knew we wanted to grill him, Mr. Speaker. He knew. He had the opportunity, Mr. Speaker, under our standing order number 78. You can either appear by person or by the advocate. Senior counsel Muite was seated here. He didn't know where his client was, Mr. Speaker. And we know members of this house, which I am privy to, went and told him, run away, because we were going to fire and grill you and impeach you, Mr. Speaker, for violating the Constitution. And I can name names, Mr. Speaker, like the acting DCP SG was the one advising him to run away, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we must stand our ground. And the High Court, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Fernandez, you cannot impute improper motive to your colleagues. Kindly withdraw.
Mr. Speaker, I withdraw and I proceed. Mr. Speaker, that is why I'm saying we gave opportunity, Mr. Speaker. And in fact, I was standing order so that Kenyans can understand. Because I saw standing order number 78. You can neither appear.
Senator Wakili Sige.
Mr. Speaker, I want to most sincerely thank you for the communication that you have made this afternoon, and for a very important reason. The facts ought to be made clear, because it's a bit absurd for the judges yesterday to say on the one hand that this house is independent in terms of procedure on how it deals with matters before it. It went ahead to pronounce itself that our standing orders are also constitutional, and further confirmed that indeed we were working within certain constitutional timelines and we are in charge of our program. It does not then make sense again, Mr. Speaker, for the same judges to say that having complied with what they said, our independence, our mandate, our constitutional timelines, that having a client who runs away before the House constitutes an unfair hearing. I'm happy that you've made the communication that we as a House must appeal that decision. And, Mr. Speaker, as has already been submitted by the rest of the senators here, it is absurd for them to say that the client who disappeared, whose lawyer could not even tell where he was not given an opportunity to be heard. And therefore, as a House, having made that decision, I believe that we should be allowed to do it. And Mr. Speaker, granting that adjournment, acting as a quasi-judicial institution, is the discretion of this House. Let's forget for a moment even that we didn't have to comply with the standing orders or the constitutional dictates, which of course we could not. It is the discretion of this House, and therefore we were in our right place and footing to decide as to how to proceed and prosecute the impeachment proceedings that were before this House. And therefore, I fail to understand the basis upon which a grant of damages worth 50 million, which was not asked for by the client again, could be slapped on the House. And despite the fact that we agree in part of the judgment, this particular finding on the fair hearing, Mr. Speaker, cannot stand, and I'm happy that the House will proceed to defend the position that it took. I thank you.
Senator Oburu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am equally surprised with the court decision to impose a fine of 50 million shillings on the Senate, when on the other hand, the same court said the Senate was right and the Senate rightly impeached Gachagua according to the Constitution. We followed the Constitution and we impeached him according to the Constitution. And Mr. Speaker, when we were here, all of us were here, when the lawyer himself told us that he did not know where his client was. Now, if he didn't know, then, Mr. Speaker, how could we know as a Senate? How could we know? We did not know also, Mr. Speaker. So we did not know where he was. Now, whatever was brought later on that he was in hospital was an afterthought. And that afterthought, Mr. Speaker, cannot be used to impose a fine on us when we acted constitutionally, and the court has said so. And they have impeached him. Mr. Speaker, it is a contradiction. To me, it is a contradiction, Mr. Speaker. How could you impeach somebody for having breached the Constitution, and therefore the Senate was right, and on the other hand, Mr. Speaker, you impose a big fine. Mr. Speaker, I urge you to appeal. Mr. Speaker, you do the appeal and ensure that the court, our Senate does not pay this 50 million. Mr. Speaker, where do we get 50 million when we are struggling in our steering committee of Parliament? Yeah, we are struggling to get money even to travel locally. So where would we get 50 million? We are poor. If it was with the Assembly, with the National Assembly, perhaps they would be able to pay. But for us, we are not going to pay, and we are also right not to pay, Mr. Speaker. We are going to appeal. We are lawful. We follow the law. And Mr. Speaker, sir, I hope that this kind of judgments will not continue in our country.
Senator Okiya Omtata.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to this important issue. First of all, I also thank the Speaker for having moved this motion to have us discuss this issue. And from where I sit, I think it's an issue that does not call for a knee-jerk reaction. It's an issue that calls for reflection and meditation. Because impeachment is a constitutional process. And in the Constitution, Article 150 deals with the removal of the Deputy President. When you look at Article 150, Clause 2, it says the provisions of Articles 144, that's removal on the basis of health, and 145, the impeachment, relating to the removal of the President shall apply with necessary modifications to the removal of the Deputy President. Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like us to take lessons from the judgment instead of condemning it. Because when I look at it, and I'm still convinced, even from the day this impeachment came here, that this House was not prepared for the impeachment of a Deputy President. I say so because we did not have that law that would modify the impeachment of the President to apply to the Deputy President. And that, for me, trying somebody without a law, to me, amounts to a violation of their rights. I don't even find a contradiction in the finding of the court that there was a violation of the rights, given the court's own reasoning, which our speaker aptly captures here, where it says that it's like when you get somebody has been executed and you determine that the person was wrongfully executed, that may not restore the person back to life. That's the argument I'm seeing the court say here. And this particular quotation, that we find that His Excellency Gachagwa's rights were infringed when the Senate declined to allow an adjournment. This violation constitutes both a vindication of his rights and a recognition of the constitutional infirmity in the process that does not undo the impeachment itself, given the finality of Article 145, Clause 7. So, Mr. Speaker, to me, I strongly believe that rules of procedure should benefit an accused person. And given that this gentleman, His Excellency Mr. Gachagua, had requested for an adjournment, this House had the capacity to grant adjournment.
Your time is up, Senator Okiom Tata. Senator Beatrice Ogola.
I thank you, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, I rise to support the communication you have just read this afternoon, that this House must appeal. And Honorable Speaker, even with a lay mind, as Senator, my leader, is lay to the law, I accept that, but he has eyes and he has ears. And Honorable Speaker, from where I'm seated, I was able to see Senior Counsel Paul Muite, where he was on that day. A number of you maybe had their backs turned to him. And I listened and watched as Senior Counsel representing the former Deputy President say that he did not know where his client was, Honorable Speaker. So, as a Senate, how would we have known where his client was? Honorable Speaker, even in basic absences in schools by pupils and students that are seated here, when they absent themselves from school and say they went to hostels, the administration always expects them to take their books from hospital where they were treated. And I remember in our long history in schools, we would take those exercises books that we as evidence that we were in hospital. So if that can be done in schools and in other institutions, why was it difficult for the representative of the former Deputy President to bring evidence to this House that he was unwell, Honorable Speaker? Honorable Speaker, we are paid to sit here by Kenyans. We don't sit here for free. We earn a living from the taxpayers. And even the 50 million that we are expected to use to pay the former Deputy President is taxpayers' money. So Kenyans cannot be taxed twice by paying senators listening to the Deputy President who yes, I accept.
Senator Beatrice, the Speaker has not granted Senator Cherargei the opportunity to inform you. So you proceed to conclude because your time is running out.
Honorable Speaker, what I'm saying...
Hold your information.
Honorable Speaker, what I'm saying is that Kenyans cannot be taxed twice to pay for a criminal who ran away from Parliament. That we as senators, we are seated here listening to him. We are paid for that work. And then the same Kenyans' money would be used to pay him the cost of 50 million. I therefore support your communication, and I end by saying that it was right for the Senate to choose the plenary, because then it was open for everybody. Everybody saw Muite here say.
Beatrice Ogola, Senator Wakoli.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa nafasi hii ili kuchangia
kuhusiana na mwelekeo ambao tumepewa wa Spika. Tuliona hapa mawakili katika kutetea katika historia ya Kenya. Tumeona mshukiwa sugu ambaye stakabadhi zake zilikuwa hapa, na tulikuwa tukishangaa, Mheshimiwa Spika, na ni mara ya kwanza kuona mshukiwa Mheshimiwa Spika, nashangaa sana. Kenya hii ni nchi ya ajabu sana. Mpaka Senate linashtakiwa, tunachochewa, hata baada ya kumngatua tunaambiwa tumlipe pesa kama dawa ya brufen. Yaani augue polepole, Mheshimiwa Spika. Ni jambo la kushangaza sana. Na inadhihirika wazi kwamba makosa ya huyu shukiwa sugu yalikuwa makosa makubwa sana. Na mimi naomba Wakenya, stakabadhi ziko wazi. Kando na kudai tu kumpa haki, jumba la Senate, Mheshimiwa Spika, tukubali hizi nakala zilizoletwa hapa bunge na madai na ushahidi, tuwape Wakenya basi. Tuwape Wakenya, weke kwa magazeti, ndio wajue hata tulikuwa na moyo wa utu. Yaani tumzibe uchi, tufunike uchi wake tu, lakini aende. Na wale ambao wako naye katika koti hawajui wanatembea na nani. Yule ni mnyama mwitu ambaye amevaa ngozi ya kondoo, Mheshimiwa Spika. So sisi kama jumba la Senate tutasimama imara. Naomba nimruhusu ndugu yangu
Senator Wakoli, do you want to be informed by the senator from Nandi?
Huyu ni wakili shupavu kupambana na wale sugu, Mheshimiwa Spika.
Very well, Senator Cherargei.
Mr. Speaker, on a point of information, this is a country where a member of parliament abducted themselves. So when the former impeached deputy president ran away, he was borrowing from a classic book of where a sitting member of parliament self-abducted himself. So we were worried with such behaviors, Mr. Speaker. I wish to inform my brother Omwami, Senator Wakoli.
Senator Wakoli, conclude.
Ni bunge la kitaifa ambalo wabunge wanajiteka nyara, na katika maeneo ya utekaji nyara
Give him 30 seconds to conclude.
Mashukiwa wanajiteka nyara, wanaita vyombo vya habari, wanatoa hotuba katika misitu, katika hospitali. Na huyu wetu, Mheshimiwa Spika, nashangaa sana. Ati naibu wa rais, namuombea Mheshimiwa Rais afya nzuri, aliumia sana kuongoza nchi na sugu kama huyu, Mheshimiwa Spika. Asante sana, Mheshimiwa Spika.
Senator Hamida Kibwana.
Bwana Spika, asante kwa kunipa nafasi. Hata mimi nataka kuunga mkono mawasiliano ya Bwana Spika. Kusema kweli, tunaheshimu maamuzi ya mahakama, lakini hatukubali ya kuwa rais, former rais deputy president Gachagua hakupewa nafasi na seneti. Kusema kweli, tulivumilia sana masaa hapa na tukawa waungwana kuweza kumsikiza, lakini nafikiria aliona atafanya ile inaitwa kipindi, na hiyo kipindi kwa slang wanaita kipindre. Akatufanyia kipindi na ili kutufanya sisi wajinga. Sisi tukakubaliana nayo na mambo yakaisha, lakini leo tunashangaa sisi baada ya kuwa waungwana wavumilivu, haya mambo yanarudi kwetu. Na ile nashangaa, Bwana Spika, ni kwa mahakama makuu yenyewe imethibitisha kwa mchakato ule uliofanywa hapa seneti uliidhinishwa na uamuzi wa seneti kumuondoa ofisini na ukawa wa halali. Sasa je, itakuwaje tumetupiwa tena sisi ya kuwa tuweze kumlipa sisi faini hali mtu mwenyewe aliweza kufanya mambo yake? Kwa hivyo mimi naunga mkono hiyo mawasiliano na hiyo faini. Nitaweza kusema sisi, kusema kweli, kama seneti hatufai kulipa sisi faini, manake yeye mwenyewe aliweza kufanya mambo yake, na pia ilikuwa ni aibu kwa mawakili wake wenyewe walishangaa, na kama vile bwana Senator Cherargei anasema kama kuna watu hapa waliweza kuweza kumadvise, ilikuwa sio advice nzuri ya yeye kufanya vile alifanya. Kwa hivyo Bwana Speaker, mimi naunga mkono mawasiliano ya Speaker ya kuwa hiyo fine si ya kwetu, na ilithibitishwa kuwa sisi chochote kile kiliendelea Seneti ilikuwa ni cha halali. Kwa hivyo itakuwaje ya halali alafu sasa ya haramu sisi tulipe sisi hiyo ya haramu ya 50,000? Tunakataa nayo Bwana Speaker, na yangu ni kusema tuendelee mbele, tuweze kuappeal, tuweze kukata rufaa ili hayo mambo yaweze kusikizwa vizuri. Asante Bwana Speaker.
Senator Hamida, it is 50 million, not 50,000, and that is correct.
Milioni 50 Bwana Speaker. Hiyo ni pesa milioni 50. Haiwezekani. Asante Bwana Speaker.
Now, honorable senators, that brings us to an end to your comments on the communication that came from the Speaker, and we shall, of course, take the appropriate dignity, sanctity, and the authority of this House by preferring an appeal against that particular decision. Nonetheless, we will resume the order paper for today, and before the communication, we were dealing with, I believe, order number 23. Clerk, you could call for the resumption of a debate on the motion under Standing Order 23.
Order number 23, motion, consideration of the report of the Mediation Committee on the Food and Feed Safety Control Coordination Bill, National Assembly Bills, and number 21 of 2023.
Just hold, Senator Wakoli. The Speaker will guide you shortly. Very well, Senator. I see from my dashboard there are requests to contribute to this motion. I have Senator Mariam, who is not in the chamber, Senator Beatrice Ogola, okay, you seconded the motion. Very well, then honorable senators, there being no other member interested in contributing to this motion, I will call upon the mover to reply. Senator Wakoli, don't tempt the Speaker to take action against use of mobile phones.
Our good esteemed Speaker, thank you for your good heart of forgiveness. I hereby seek your indulgence. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 663, I request that add the concerns of honorable members, and I want to agree that county government are an integral part of ensuring that devolution is meeting the expected outcome to our people. This has room to ensure that the aspirations of the bill are met and that county governments continue to play the role that they are supposed to play. Honorable Speaker, this bill will equally transit to the delegation, the team, the committee that deals with the delegated rules, regulations, and laws, Honorable Speaker. And this is where the rubber meets the road. where the fine-tuning of the various aspects of this bill will be done, and thereafter cascaded down to county governments, the way we had at the national level the Public Service Commission, and which inducted and trained the public service boards at the county level to continue doing the professional work. So I want to encourage members that all is not lost, and this is a new practice in this country where various arms of government are coming together to ensure we meet an expected outcome. And therefore, by that doing, the county governments will be roped in, will be invited, and we will walk the journey with them as Senate to ensure that this bill speaks to the needs, expectations, and the demands of the labor, of the market, international market, and the local market. Our members, honorable members, should know that as the Committee of Agriculture, we have always invited KEFIS, we have invited the Minister of Health to look at the poisonous food, potatoes in Rift Valley, to look at the problem of maize in your county, Honorable Speaker, and it showed very clearly that unless these arms of government in the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Trade come together, synergize and polish legislation, we will always limp and run in the dark. And therefore, this bill provides an opportunity for all these arms to come and polish their act and make it practicable to the people, so that the people do not subscribe and get permits everywhere. Because you understand, Honorable Speaker, some of the governors are overtaxing our people. Their so-called kanjos are everywhere collecting money, but the people are not seeing the value. So this institution, once organized properly, will have its replicas at the county level, but they have their mother body that will always guide and ensure that as devolution is strengthened and empowered, the institutions will equally do the same. And therefore, pursuant to Standing Order 63, I request that we're putting the question should be deferred, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Wakoli, it's 66-3. If I heard you right, you said 63. It should be
663.
Standing Order 66-3.
Yes, 66-3.
Very well. Pass on to the provisions of Standing Order 66-3. Putting of the question is hereby deferred to the next sitting. Now, Honorable Senators, before we move to the next order, I will proceed to rearrange for the convenience of the business of the House today. And the rearrangement of the order for today takes us to order number 30. Clerk, call out order number 30.
Order number 30, motion, report of the Standing Committee on Energy on inquiry into the shortage of smart energy meters in Kenya and the potential for their local manufacturing.
Honorable Senators, person Standing Committee on Energy to move the motion.
For the Senate on Wednesday, 11 June 2025, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to its mandate under Standing Order 2228-3 and report on all matters relating to the mandate, management activities, administration and operations of its assigned ministries and departments, the Standing Committee on Energy at its sitting resolved to initiate an inquiry into the energy meters in Kenya and manufacturing of these devices, Honorable Speaker. This decision assist in the award of Kenya shillings 2.9 billion smart meters tender number 2 MS Alay Barry Limited, which had been recommended by the State Department for Energy, raising questions on transparency, competitiveness, and adherence to the Public Procurement and Disposal Act of 2015. Honorable Speaker, the committee also took note of structural challenges in the metering sector, including the absence of clear standards, regulatory frameworks for smart meters, high borrowing costs for potential local manufacturers, and the proliferation of counterfeit meters in the market, all of which undermine reliability, consumer protection, and the country's broader energy sector reform agenda, Honorable Speaker. Additionally, the committee was concerned about the use of framework agreements under Section 114 of the Public Procurement and Disposal Act, which, if not properly designed, Honorable Speaker, and implemented, may be used in a manner that weakens competitive procurement and reduces transparency in large-scale meter acquisitions, which can lead into corruption, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in this regard, the inquiry was guided by 4 key issues. 1, to interrogate the procurement process surrounding the award of the smart meter tender to Ave Barry Limited, to assess compliance with the Public Procurement and Disposal Act of 2015. 3, to examine the visibility and viability of promoting local manufacturing of smart energy meters, and this will help in creating employment opportunities for our youth, Honorable Speaker, and also to propose strategic policy measures to reform KPLC procurement systems and strengthen regulatory oversight for transparency, accountability, and efficiency. Accordingly, the committee held several sittings with key stakeholders, including the Principal Secretary for Public Works, through the supply as section of the particular company the tender to supply smart meters, Honorable Speaker, without going through procurement process. Kenya Power and Lighting Company, the African Smart Meters Association, and the Kenya Manufacturer written submissions from Dedan Kimathi University of Technology. Honorable Speaker, the committee further noted a framework agreement was adopted for a tender valued at approximately 2.9 billion, implemented through a call-off orders with units of 9,000 Kenya shillings 9,150 for single-phase meters and 15,000 three-phase meters, culminating in the supply of over 320,000 meters between October 2023 and February 2024. Honorable Speaker, on the question of local manufacturing, the committee observed that Kenya stands at the strategic point where there is emerging assembly capacity and strong interest from local industry, the absence of comprehensive regulatory framework, and approved technical standards by the Energy and Regulatory Authority, PBRA. So this is where we are saying there are some caps in terms of setting up standards to assist the local manufacturers to manufacture, because it will be of benefit if we use local manufacturers to supply smart meters to Kenya Power. Honorable Speaker, the committee also noted that the high capital cost associated with end-to-end smart meter manufacturing, coupled with elevated borrowing costs, have made it difficult for local firms to compete with imported products, thereby limiting technology transfer, local value addition, and job creation in the energy technology value chain. Honorable Speaker, in view of these findings, the committee also made far-reaching recommendations aimed at restoring integrity in smart meter procurement and catalyzing a viable local manufacturing ecosystem. This includes requiring KPLC to revert smart meter procurement to its internal procurement and supply chain department in strict compliance with the law, and mandating IBRA to establish and publish robust pre-qualification framework for smart meter supplies anchored on quality, technical capacity, and local content. Honorable Speaker, the committee further recommends that KPLC should transition towards a decentralized smart meter acquisition model, allowing customers to procure meters from IBRA-approved suppliers. Honorable Speaker, we are saying when you are putting up a house and you do wiring, you get an electrician who is already certified by KBLC, you should be able to go to any shop, you can go to any hardware. As you buy your other electrical issues, you can also buy a meter. So that, we don't have to get expensive meters from Kenya Power. It takes time. Sometimes, Honorable Speaker, customers wait for ages. When REREC does last mile connectivity in our rural constituencies, Honorable Speaker, they wait even for 6 to 10, even only, Honorable Speaker, before the energized because of lack of meters. So, but if this one is decentralized and liberalized, it will be easy for consumers to buy meters from any shop, Honorable Speaker, so long as the standards have been set and certified by IBRA, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the committee also further recommends that KPLC should transition, as I had said, to decentralized meter acquisition model, allowing customers to procure meters from IBRA-approved suppliers with installation by licensed technicians and verification by Kenya Power, thereby promoting competition, widening market participation, reducing single buyers risk, and also eventually reduce the cost. Because if there's competition, basically prices will come down. To support local manufacturing and industrial development, the committee proposes that the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum, IBRA, and the National Treasury put in place clear national standards, targeted initiatives, and financing instruments to move the country from meter assembly to full-scale manufacturing in partnership with universities and technical institutions as centers of research, innovation, and skills development. Honorable Speaker, this is, we visited several farms that were doing assembly of smart meters. But you'll realize, Honorable Speaker, these particular companies, they were basically importing almost everything from China, from Europe, and then they just come and assemble. So basically there's no manufacturing that's taking place. They just coming to put these things together and sell. But we are saying we need to support them so that the raw materials, it can be manufactured here in Kenya, they do manufacturing itself, and eventually this will boost the economy, it will reduce prices, it will create a lot of employment for our youth, and then eventually it will spur the economic growth of this country. Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, this report provides a timely roadmap to address the immediate smart meter shortage, correct weaknesses in procurement practice, and lay the foundation for competitive, locally anchored smart metering industry that supports Kenya's energy transition and digital economy. Honorable Speaker, this is very important because, and it's timely, because with the affordable houses that are coming up, Honorable Speaker, we will need so many meters. We need to energize and supply power to very many homes. And this will not be possible if we don't encourage locally manufactured smart meters, Honorable Speaker. And this will also help Kenya Power. They don't have to go to the homes to read the meters. Basically, they'll be able to disconnect automatically from the offices, reconnect automatically when the customers pay, or use also the tokens, where basically you buy just like airtime that we buy from our phones. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move and request my colleague, able Senator Beatrice Okola, to second the motion.
Senator Beatrice Ogola, proceed to second the motion.
Honorable Speaker, I wish to second this motion on the report of the Standing Committee of Energy on the inquiry into the shortage of smart meters, energy meters. Honorable Speaker, all of us in our communities and with the public deal with the issue of shortage of meters. And this shortage, Honorable Speaker, has led to a number of harassment of members of the public. I frequently see a number of small businesses, people running here and there because of this shortage of meters. And one wonders, Honorable Speaker, what happens? Because at some other time, it becomes criminal when a number of people are arrested by the KPLC policing unit, once because they have meters that don't belong to them, and one wonders because a number of these people have no knowledge of even how to fix some of these meters or even where they get them from. And so a number of, we have a lot of fraud cases, Honorable Speaker. Just the last other week I was at home and a young man comes running to me that they have been arrested and it is issues involving meters. And Honorable Speaker, a number of recommendations that have been given in this report is a cure to a number of those challenges that I've just referred to. Honorable Speaker, as I second this motion, I want to lay emphasis on what the movers indicated on local manufacturing. Honorable Speaker, in this country we used to have something called Agenda 4, and manufacturing was critical to the Agenda 4 in this republic, coupled with housing that His Excellency the President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, is moving to another level, and Kenyans, including the doubting Kenyans, can see the houses physically. And soon, Kenyans, if organized properly, will be living in dignity, including a number of job seekers who still may not have enough money to rent houses when they leave colleges. Honorable Speaker, the issue of local manufacturing and industry development has been exhaustively discussed in this report. The only thing that we have to look at, and of course which has been mentioned, is the issue of putting into place clear standards. When we promote local manufacturing, there must be standards that must be met. And then we have also to put incentives that will motivate our people into the manufacturing space. And of course, there's been a mention of financing mechanism. Honorable Speaker, this report addresses the issue of integrity too. Of course, the report deals with a procurement issue that was there. And Honorable Speaker, this was a procurement of a tender to the tune of 2.9 billion. Honorable Speaker, by this committee coming up with this report, they are addressing key issues of transparency, key issues of competitiveness, and the issue of doing due diligence. That is according to the procurement laws. So, Honorable Speaker, I second this report, as I also indicate that EPRA seems to have a very huge mandate in this country. And so we must also find a way of enhancing EPRA, and the EPRA itself has to enhance itself by broadening its strategies so that they are able to reach the old nation. Honorable Speaker, I second.
Senator Kisang, take your seat. Or take the nearest seat next to you. Now, Honorable Senators, I now propose the question that the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee on Energy on inquiry into the shortage of smart energy meters in Kenya and the potential for their local manufacturing, laid on the table of the Senate on Wednesday, 11th of June, 2025. Now, members, this motion and report is therefore available for debate, and I will call upon Senator Samson Cherargei to make his contributions to the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise to make a comment. You have said rightly on this report on the inquiry of the shortage of smart energy meters and possibility of local manufacturing. While I commend the Vice Chair of Energy and the membership, they have done well on the second question, but they have not given us headway on the first aspect. Because the issue was to give us the aspect of shortage, the legality, and viability, whether there was violation of the law in terms of public procurements processes, Mr. Speaker, sir. So on part 2, I agree with them as a country that we must look at the local manufacturing. And Mr. Speaker, the committee has hesitated to point out that the award of this company called Halle Berry, like Halle Berry, of a tender worth 2.9 billion in the supply of smart meters, from the reading of the reports and from the interactions of minutes and meetings that has been done by the committee, Mr. Speaker, sir, it looks like this was a direct procurement contrary to the law. Mr. Speaker, this award of 2.9, only the reasoning that the stakeholders appeared before the committee was because Halle Berry, Mr. Speaker, award of 2.9 billion smart tender was because they had it in their warehouse. Mr. Speaker, the reading of Article 227(1) of the Constitution is very clear on public procurement. And it is very clear that is procurement of public goods and services. Article 271, when a state organ or any other public entity contracts for goods and services or services, it shall do so in accordance with the system that is fair, equitable, transparent, competitive, and cost effective. It does not say when they have availability. Therefore, and in fact, some of us, I would have requested the committee, this is a classic case of corruption. Because the work of awarding of smart meter tenders was done by the ministry through supplies and chains, Mr. Speaker, by Kenya, instead of Kenya Power. It was done by State Department for Energy. And we are aware energy of, Mr. Speaker, you remember there were issues of procurement irregularities, issues of corruption. In fact, this was a clear case of corruption. Because in fact, instead of Kenya Power and Lighting Company doing the award of the tender, it went ahead a new State Department of Energy, Mr. Speaker, to procure, which is a clear violation of the law. Article 227(1) is very clear that it must be transparent, it must be cost effective, it must, and looking at the committee proceedings, Mr. Speaker, the award to Halle Berry, Mr. Speaker, is not very clear. It looks like this was corruption, Mr. Speaker. And even you read at the report when Kenya Power and Lighting Company appeared, they justified that because they wanted to open and decentralize the award of smart meters in the country, be single phase or three phase, Mr. Speaker, they must now allow other people to do it. That is how it is done, Mr. That is how corruption is done. Because if Kenya Power and Lighting Company did not give award, and as per the law, but the State Department of Energy went ahead to give out without any legal recourse, Mr. Speaker, is a clear violation of Article 227(1), Mr. Speaker, and even Article and the Public Procurement and Disposal Act as provided by the law. And myself, I want to request the committee through the Vice Chair, although he's technically the Chair, Senator Kisang, to further investigate these 2.9 billion. To me, if it works, quacks, smiles, or crackle, Mr. Speaker, that's a dark, Mr. Speaker. That's a dark for us. It is corruption, Mr. Speaker. So we must be told these 2.9 billion, and it is important that I want to thank the committee, Mr. Speaker, because they even provided how the various companies that had been given award to supply smart meter, Mr. Speaker, in this report, they have gone ahead and indicated that these are the number of meters that have been given, Mr. Speaker, in their reports. Even when you look at their report, Mr. Speaker, they have highlighted that a number of them, so there is no justification of direct procurement or a direct award of 2.9 billion under the State Department of Energy instead of KPLC as usual award tenders, and that is page 15. When you look at page 15, Mr. Speaker, you can see the summary of 4 farms with tender supply 7,111,740 meters with a contract of 2-year period of single phase, Mr. Speaker, and these amounts to around 7,740 smart meters. Like Smart Meter Technology Limited was given 314,440. Magnet Ventures Limited was given 164,500. In Himita Africa Company Limited 128,000. Yohashin Group Limited was given 104,800, Mr. Speaker. So the report has gone itself to justify that they were companies that were competitively awarded. But we don't know what is special about Burnley Halley Company Limited, that it was given a tender of 2.9 billion. So, Speaker, this does not look right, and while I agree with the recommendations of the committee on the other aspects, they must tell us, you know, Mr. Speaker, corruption, if you don't follow the law, and you are a senior practitioner of the law, you cannot regularize an irregularity without following due rest of the law. Even if State Department of Energy would say today they was cost effective, they didn't lose any money. But the fact that there was an irregular process of acquiring public goods, contrary to Article 2271, Mr. Speaker, some of us would think otherwise. And therefore, I want to appeal to the Senator Kesang, the mover and the vice chair of that committee, to still look at this aspect of 2.9 billion that was specifically awarded to this company. Yet he had indicated that there were other 4 farm companies that had been indicated. So, Speaker, this is a fairly quick report, and then even committee, they have raised a number of procurement processes. I think I have touched on that, Mr. Speaker. Quality and quantity, I agree, but how it's happening.
Love the vibe, getting feeling my stance, feeling my flow. A girl from Wooded, they buy, ain't ready to go money.
The wait is over. KBC Iko Huduma Center. Starting with Nairobi, kupata huduma za KBC imekuwa rahisi. From digital guidance and signet services to booking of commercial adverts and documentaries. Visit our dedicated desks at Huduma Center GPO, Times Square, Makadara, Kibera, or Eastleigh. Tunakungoja hapo. Whether it's a casual announcement or a specialized media solution for your business, we are here to serve you. KBC at Huduma Centers, moving closer to you. Your station.
Lights on, volume up. This is where stories come alive. From local drama that hits close to home.
Alinivamia akiwa na vijana wengine wawili. Toka nje. Hii nyumba yako.
Yote ni porojo. To international series everyone's talking about. Stories that pull you